would stay the same. If you paid Americans more to do the jobs that the H-1Bs and the illegal immigrants are doing right now, the GDP would stay the same. The American citizens would just make more money. I mean, so yeah, it's not even a GDP up thing. It's a bottom line go up. We want to make more money. We want cheap labor.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about is the leftist point. So remember, Rob professionally debates with leftists. One of the arguments that they make more than anything else, we need their GDP to go up.
Well, leftists don't understand anything about business.
I
So
agree.
when they say GDP,
I'm not saying leftists aren't totally retarded. They are.
Right.
I'm just pointing out
what they actually mean is bottom line go up.
Yeah, they want GDP go up. So,
right.
So we mock them for that all the time. But
yeah,
what we're getting at here in the critical issue, kind of to move it back to this, if we had a choice, if we had the choice right now, Trump, send in the stormtroopers now, lock it all down now, nationwide, before there even is signs of a protest. Should he do it? I think that the answer is yes.
I agree.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, lock it all down.
Yes.
I would say no. Only if there is a riot, then lock it down, in my opinion. But there's no, it just doesn't seem bad enough.
What do you do in a place like Portland? Where let me make a bold prediction. You ready? They're gonna riot in Portland next week. Let's see if that comes true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's a poly market right now. Everyone's a millionaire.
At some point, I agree with you. I don't want them to, all right, I'm not so hard-lined that I want them to be like, man, Baton Rouge, let's send the Marines to Baton Rouge right now, because maybe there'll be a riot. What I'm saying is it is entirely predictable the areas that aren't cooperating and having law enforcement standing down. And the point's not to have the Marines in there enforcing the law. The point is to create law and order, right? That we're going to have a show of force that will prevent the necessity for Border Patrol to have a situation like Alex Freddie. Border Patrol should not be in the business of having to try to deport illegals while simultaneously protecting themselves from people that are using an app to instruct people how to create flashpoints and obstruct them. Now, if anything, remember, there were people arrested on January 6th that never entered the Capitol that weren't even there that day. But they went through their Telegram messages and other things, said, we think this is a big conspiracy, in order to have an insurrection. We are literally talking about signal apps that are giving people instructions on how to create altercations with law enforcement. They're literally having
And get away with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have license plate readers, right? Where they're doing all
They're
this stuff.
stopping people on the road and checking their IDs.
And we just accept it.
I know, it's crazy.
And it is amazing. Like, you have to tip your cap to the impressive propaganda that they get away with this.
I know.
That, like, you talk to your normie friend, they're like, oh, that Alex Freddie shooting was bad. And you're like, yeah, but you don't see what's happening every single day. Every single day. Like, they're creating this. You literally, if you're in an Uber there, did you see this video the other day? The guy had an Uber driver, he was like, I think from the Blaze or something. And his Uber driver was like, looked at him in African descent. And like, they run his plate, they're like, we have you with ICE, but clearly you're not.
Yeah,
Right? 'Cause you're an
yeah. He was like
African gentleman.
Somalian.
You don't
Yeah,
accept that.
yeah.
Like, it is the idea, and it builds a rage in me, and I'm assuming a bunch of other people, where it's like, why do we have to accept these losers having authority over us? Screw that. None of us voted for that. It's outrageous. And at some point, you're going to see more and more conflicts. So for me, it's not an escalation. It's a de-escalation to be like, look, if law enforcement's not going to do their job of protecting, it's an unfair burden to put on ICE and CBP to carry out their duties and protect themselves from left-wing mobs.
Hey, what's
so
up?
we're going to put a show of force
How's it
around
going,
them
everybody?
to let them go do their jobs, not to be aggressive. We don't want the Marines out there arresting people for, like speeding violations, but they should be there as a protective force.
Yeah.
If you're going to riot, then we're going to declare the insurrection.
And by the way, you can do this at federal buildings now.
Yeah.
You're right. Those are federal buildings. There's no reason why you can't put only to the federal buildings. But what they're saying is, no, we don't want even troops at the federal buildings. And it's like, no, he has the authority to do that. And he's always had the authority to do that. They can lock their own federal buildings down. That's where the points always will be. So they're always going to march to the streets and end at those federal buildings,
Yeah.
or they're going to start at the federal buildings, march around, and end back at the federal building. So I don't know why not preemptively lock them down during the winter, right? We have it in reverse now. Summer is coming, right? Summer is
the only time
coming.
you could go outside during COVID was to riot.
Right.
Yeah, that was it. And we used to arrest people for impersonating police
listening
officers,
to
and
the
you see
radio?
these people in the streets in Minneapolis. They
It's a podcast, but yeah, pretty much. So it's actually Tim Cass IRL show, but Tim Pool's not on tonight. It's just like Andrew Wilson and some other dudes.
Literally look official. You know what I mean? They're out there checking IDs. I mean, it's just, I never thought I'd see that in my life.
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that the Democrats in Colorado used to try to keep Trump off the ballot, right, says if you engage in an insurrection, you have an oath of office, you can't run it. The only reason the Supreme Court ruled against that was they were like, well, you basically can't do that to the president, right? But that would apply to anybody that holds an oath. You tell me why AOC out there instructing people on how to obstruct law enforcement and ICE, as we see based on the left's definition. You know, me and you debated how many times the lefties, an insurrection,
That's what's up. Shout out Mike. Sounds like chill guy.
it's like got 4 parts that they use. It's from these guys, Bowden Paulson. It's like for a public good, it's a gathering of like a group of people using violence and intimidation to resist a law or a lawful action.
What's everybody else up to tonight, this Friday night?
That's an insurrection every day, multiple of them that we see. And as these are ongoing, we have these Democratic politicians that are paying lip service to it every single day. And not one Republican's been like, remove these people from office. Not one. And that's what I find outrageous. It must be so great to be a Democrat and actually have a party that's willing to go back for you and willing to be aggressive for you. Instead, what we get is like, now wait a minute. Maybe we should have a pathway to dignity. Maybe we have to worry about optics. Like, I'm tired of that. And if you're playing this through game theory long enough.
And you've just gone a little too far this time.
Right.
It's too much.
That's too much.
Oh, that Peretti shooting. Oh, it wasn't good.
It's ridiculous. Well, let's move on from there, guys.
Wait, Rob, can you finish what you were saying? If you game theory it, then what
Oh
happens?
yeah, game theory decide.
Oh, no.
Give me like 40 minutes now.
Okay,
Just real quick. Game theory, the side that's willing to play for keeps is going to win if you play that game over and over. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so we find ourselves in this position where it's like, if we keep saying, well, let's leave cooler heads prevail. Why did cancel culture start to end? Because the right started to play.
Correct.
Right? For years, people like me were like, don't play that game. What would happen? As soon as they were like, hey, but like, we're no longer buying you, everyone was like, oh, hey, wait a minute.
That's why I'm disappointed with Trump on the monkey video. Like, stand by that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Andrew made an awesome argument earlier with Straight Raid about.
It's going good, man. Just chilling, doing some posting and scrolling like usual. What's you up to tonight?
I think she was a self-avowed, says she was communist, and then Andrew was asking her where she thought rights came from, and she was like, well, I think they're just like arbitrary, you know, rights are just kind of like whoever has the authority. And he's like, then why would I ever give you rights that you believe don't exist?
Yeah.
It was the way
Shout
you guys
out
gotta watch
Straight
it.
Ray, though.
What's that?
She's great. Shout
It
out
was a
Straight
great
Ray.
episode. It was a great conversation. Check out the culture war from earlier if you haven't seen it yet. Andrew, thank you for allowing me to pick Rob's brain.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Andrew.
You guys are so well. I'm a benevolent dictator when I'm in the host chair, so you're welcome for that. This coming up to Scott Bessent, and he says the IRS is about to hit banks with sweeping audits over the roll in Minnesota money. Let's play that.
The funds, in addition to helping support criminal and civil enforcement efforts. The IRS.
Well, if you're looking for something that's similar to that, I would just ask AI. What is a good recommended song that is similar to Who Loves the Sun by NU? Happy
Since
Friday.
Who Loves the Sun captures the sunnier pop-influenced side of the Velvet Underground's Loaded era, a great similar track is Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. Many fans and critics consider Who Loves the Sun to be a direct stylistic response to that George Harrison classic. If you want more of that specific jangle pop and ba-ba-ba harmony vibe, try these. There She Goes by The Lays, Sunday Morning by the Velvet Underground from their debut, Roadrunner by the Modern Lovers, Perfect Day by Lou Reed. Would you like me to put together a playlist of other 60s art pop?
What part of PNW from? I'm in Portland, Oregon right now. Happy Friday. Coast sounds like a cool place to live compared to Portland.
Will also soon announce the formation of a task force that's civil enforcement is auditing financial institutions that facilitated the laundering of Minnesota funds, in addition to helping support criminal and civil enforcement efforts.
Few hours right now. Yeah.
No.
No.
It's decent here. Could be better, but you know. But yeah, I love Oregon.
That's some weird.
I mean, I gotta
So
listen.
No.
in the middle.
Yeah,
And then,
it repeated.
Listen, I have a take on this. It's not going to be popular. I have zero faith in this. I have no faith in the IRS. I mean, this is the same organization that lost to Scientology in the 90s because they were killing their dogs and like going in their houses and stuff, and they got scared of the Scientologists.
I mean, that's like the one federal organization left people are afraid of.
And I am not. I have zero faith in it. I mean, if you look at our tax system, it's a nightmare. Actually, being somebody that pays into the system, unlike leftists, I can tell you, like, they have no idea what they're doing. So no, I don't think this is.
Well, the problem with these, okay, I'll back that up somewhat. The problem with these executive agencies is, right, remember Lois Lerner at the IRS when they were targeting the conservative groups? Everybody's like, what did Obama say now? Hey, you know what we should do? No, because what happens is the left has embraced this idea that they are morally superior. And so no one needs to say a word. The ends always justify the means. So whatever position you're put into in the executive branch, great. Go ahead and abuse that in order to justify your means. Because after all, Obama's great, right? Biden's great, Kamala's great, and the other people's evil. So do whatever you want. So yeah, I mean, even if you have people running the IRS that are stretching for this, will the on-the-ground agents, many of which are going to be radical lefties, which is why they got in the government position in the first place, are they going to enforce it? I don't know. But the other side to that, though, is this is exactly what we should be doing. You can play whack-a-mole with the, street communist psychopaths that are out there, half them LARPing, and it's not going to put that much of a dent. But if you start going after the actual people that are funding them, now all of a sudden you'll start to see results.
I agree. We
When you
should
hit
be.
the wallet, right? Hitting the wallet is always the thing that is the most effective. And it's one of the most powerful tools of the U.S. government. It's freezing assets, hitting the wallet. In this case, you got a domestic terror group going after their wallet. Seems like it's completely fine. Of course, in this, though, in Minnesota, they're talking about something else. They're looking at the funding, which is happening around all of this fraud that they've seen. And that apparently that's what this is about. So the fraud itself, what I don't understand about this is what the hell is the IRS going to do here? What are they looking for exactly?
Exactly.
A task force for what?
Exactly, and why haven't they done it in the last 10 years? This is what I'm saying. Instead of getting on here and doing the speech where Ian literally thought it was AI, like, do the action first and then report it. I don't want your lip service. I don't want to say, oh, we're going to go after this. Arrest some people. Show the public, hey, this is what we did. Hey, this is why we missed it the last 10 years. Hey, we're sorry. Like, your taxpayers have been going to Somalia. Sorry about that. Maybe give us an explanation. Like, I
don't know, man. I feel we're one strongly worded letter away from like turning the corner, right? The strongly worded letter, the result.
I think that the IRS has new digital tools that they want to test now on the American people. They're going to start somewhere on people that will get behind them and say, yes, use your new technocratic means to crush my enemies. Oh, in 8 years, you mean you're going to use it on me? I didn't mean to unleash that beast, but darn it. But anyway, it seems inevitable anyway. Like the digitization of the economy, they're talking about going to crypto economy, they're going to have complete control of assets. Banks can already debank you if you say bad words on TV. Nick Fuentes, for instance, that's not the bad word, that's the guy who got debanked.
But it's not going to make them more effective at their job.
Good save, Ian.
Fuentes, don't do
Okay, so,
it.
well, help me out here too. A lot of people were saying that a lot of this is to cover up from the massive fraud which was uncovered recently at these various daycare centers, and that's what a lot of these protests are now about, is the local governments trying to cover their ass. So the question becomes, you're putting on your tinfoil hat, Ian. Do you think that there's some merit to that? Do you think that a lot of this was the local government there involved in this fraud, trying to obfuscate away from it, and successfully, it seems, has changed the national conversation away from the rampant fraud which was going on there?
Man. Well, it would be premature to say yes, I think that is true, but damn, I cannot discount that is possible. I think about it with the Epstein stuff too. I feel like that's a federal red herring that they want us to all complain and laugh while they're preparing for war in Iran and crashing the U.S. economy and getting us on crypto or gold. Yeah, that's totally possible. I mean, that daycare fraud came, huge story, and then a week later, riots and
Right. Well, and George Santos came and I think he hit it on the head. Like, you would think this is a slam dunk for the Republicans to go after this fraud, but he hit it on the head. He's like, look, this is both parties. Both parties are taking this money. Both parties, you know what I mean? Like, it's across the board. That's why there isn't any action on this. That's why it's been going on for 10 years.
The most exciting part of the Trump administration was Doge, right?
Yes.
And they absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's been on the show before, but Mike Betts, he's been on a tear. They're talking about like the EU, right, and their censorship efforts of X. But one of the things he talks about is how the United States, through cutouts like the Atlantic Council and other NGOs, are actually sort of pressuring the European Union to censor X so that it can censor Americans, right? It's the same thing with the rest of these NGOs. That's what they're talking about with the IRS, going after, it's like you set up this cutout, right? Then you need a patsy, so you go to these Somalians, you know, it's an insular community. Hey, we owe this money, you keep a chunk of it. Our board keeps a big chunk of it. And it's so funny.
And then they launder it.
Yeah, so I forget that it's
At their leering center.
They're leering,
Yeah.
right? You know, they leer it
This is a
somewhere.
house of leering.
Yes. I'm leering a lot tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of leering.
It is Spanish, though, right? Lear is read.
I don't know, man. We speak American.
Yeah, we
Do you
American.
usually use like just one word to the Spanish?
Yeah, it's leer and then ing on the end and like a mix. Yeah, all right.
The leering center.
It's so ridiculous, right? Imagine if you're like, let's just say you're, you know, going back to black people upset with the Trump thing. Okay, fine, fair enough, whatever. Imagine that you're black and you live in Minneapolis and you're like, I'd like to start a daycare. I've lived here my whole life. My parents lived here and their parents lived here. You're struggling, can't make ends meet, you got 5 kids you're trying to watch. Meanwhile, someone comes over from Somali, barely speaks the language, they're getting millions of dollars and they have no kids with their 7.
Yeah.
Right? It is so on its face. Like these NGOs that do this stuff, it's so laughable. And the woman that was charged, I forget her name, but every time I debate a lefty on this thing, this is what they do. They're like, well, did you know that the woman whose the case is named of the 71 people, she's a white lady? It's like, yeah, white ladies suck too.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. I'm well aware that there are white Democrats that are setting this all up. And yes, they should go to prison too. But as always, they try to lump it in like, oh, it's just because you hate Somalians. No, it's because I hate the fraud that's coming in. By the way, send all the illegal Somalians back.
Were you
Yes, get 'em out.
were you suggesting that the NGOs are funding? They just pick a patsy organization like we'll do Somalians in Minneapolis or Minnesota right now, and then that gives the IRS basically, you know, a right to now go do some new technocratic authoritarian behavior. Was that what you were saying?
I don't think it's new technocratic. Like, I don't think it's any surprise that the IRS has tools and the ability and the want to audit the shit out of you, right? And so when you have an organization that is geared on investigating finances, the idea that we wouldn't use those tools to save billions upon billions of dollars that's being used fraudulently seems to be ridiculous. Now, do I want
All is well. Hope you're doing good too, and hope you have a good weekend. You gonna watch the Super Bowl this weekend?
the IRS to like develop new, like, you know, telepathic powers or some shit, or whatever, you know, some crazy tech power? Maybe not. But I think utilizing the IRS when there's clearly things that are going wrong. I mean, after all, how'd they get Al Capone? Right? Tax evasion. So the idea, it's like, look, if one of the ways we could get these people is to show that through their fraud that they're supporting these financial institutions, there are problems that showed up on their taxes. I'm all for it.
The IRS isn't going to do shit. They're not. They haven't done shit in 10 years out there. The only people they punish are the people that are actually paying into the actual net taxpayers that pay into the system. Those are the people that get punished. That's all they're good at. They're only going after. They're only good at going after people that actually are.
Let's take a look at this video of the protesters keeping Waltz awake.
Oh shit.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw down your support for your voting base. Come on. You have a lot of lights on. Dinner's got to be done by now. We haven't heard from you in a very long time.
So they're not happy. They're not thrilled. They're upset, right, that there was any sort of working with the Trump administration, and clearly they're going to continue this.
It's smart. It's smart politics on their side, right? You never want to rest on your laurels,
Yeah.
right? So they're going to take it. Perceptually, what you want to do is say, we're winning, but we're not winning enough. We got to go further. No cooperation. I used to say this. You remember when they freaked out when Elon was buying X? You would talk to a lefty, you'd debate them, and you'd say, hey man, 95% of social media is controlled by like rabid lefties. It's so unfair. And they'd be like, we agree, that's unfair. It should be 100%. Right? That's their mentality. Always on offense, always winning. Right? And so I can see why they're doing this here. The one good part of this, like if you want a little schadenfreude, look man, the lefties get the wall too at the end of this, right? And so the idea that someone like Tim Walz isn't going to be, remember when he said, he's like, I don't like that they're coming in, they're calling me a retard. I don't like that they're doing that. Like, it's like, yeah, these lefty moms are going to turn on you. It's not just going to be the right wingers. Ask Kristen Sinema, ask Joe Manchin. Right, and so you got to stay lockstep with them the whole time. So yeah,
well, this,
good for you, Walls. I hope you're not sleeping tonight.
Well, this is not my position, Andrew, but yeah, this was the opposition. This is 100% my position. That they would, they would disrupt with working with Waltz, like they would disrupt the left, and now the left going after Waltz is kind of what the idea of them with the stand down or whatever you want to call it, like to kind of start. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, we see this here, like.
Well, I think that
I'm gonna piss like a fucking dolphin. They just drank half the ocean, bro.
the idea is exactly what Rob's saying, that they're always going to stay on offense now. You have to understand, this campaign for them has worked. This has been a successful campaign for the terrorists, for the Antifa terrorists. This has not been a successful campaign for the Trump administration. And they're continuing their winning streak. And you can argue that point, I suppose, but these arrests, they're going to get thrown out. We know they're going to get thrown out. We know that this is leading up to more and more and more and more. It's been like this since Trump was elected. As it goes, it's going to get worse and worse. Everyone's geared up for it. Their own internal communications prove it. That's what's going to happen. So they're going to stay on offense here.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think Trump going in with the boot. I think that is the best play, obviously. But yeah.
So let's look at this is Frontline's TPUSA. They're asking an ICE protester his reasoning for being outside of Minnesota Governor Walz's house.
What would be your message to Tim Walz right now?
I mean, I just wanted him to come and talk to us. I mean, that's really like, tell us what's going on, at least be a little transparent. We're transparent what we're asking for, so I just think you should be transparent back.
And do you feel as if Tim Walz has completely went against the left and the people that got him elected?
That's what it seems like right now. And I mean, but again, we don't know. I think we're just speculating, but it'd be nice to hear from him. Because it appears that way. Having ICE show up to the government center and arrest 2 people that were meeting with their attorneys yesterday is a completely escalation, in my opinion.
And in your opinion, what can he do to mend what has been broken right now to make things right?
For me personally, it would just be transparent. Either way, be transparent with us. I think that's what I'm looking for.
Is there any shock that he's
Now
giving?
this is such an effective tactic. The tactic here being that if in any way, shape, or form you're not doing what this lunatic base that you have molded for yourself wants, they're going to turn against you, which gives every incentive for those particular politicians to enact their insane agenda. And this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing on our side with the Trump administration, saying the exact same thing that they're saying. Hey, wake up, Trump. Get them down there. Let's get some arrests moving. You call them domestic terrorists. You have allocated resources to Antifa being a domestic terrorist group. Where's the arrests?
Yeah.
Why are we rounding these terrorists up?
I hope it's because they're going after the money. I hope that's why, and that they don't want to create ill will, bad optics, another riot in the street because they arrested 19-foot soldiers that didn't know what. And they're really, I hope that they're really going through records and chat rooms and looking for funding.
I'm telling you, if you live stream
it sounds like very wishful thinking to me.
If you live stream it, it'd be the biggest show, man. If you just saw these people being arrested and deported, oh my god.
Be like cops, man. Yeah, they'd be all like truckers and
exactly.
You remember our friend from Maine First Project, Zach Kelpie?
Yeah.
I was talking to him on the phone the other day. He's sort of talking about, behind the scenes trying to whip up organization or Republicans for causes, and he's telling me this story once. He's like, Democrats in this particular area, I can't remember because I have a bad memory, but he's like, they primaried this dude that voted 95% of what this organization wanted. And the dude getting primaried is like, why are you doing that? I vote 95% with you. And they're like, because you don't vote 100. That's their mentality. It's like, no, we don't care. The person that's doing 95% of what we like, that's where we're going to put the most pressure. because we know that's a person that's
Yeah,
willing to
yeah.
listen to us.
And
So
we can give you 100%.
that's right, and so that's
No.
what's going on here. They know that at this point, Walls is absolutely beholden to them,
Yeah.
and so if he doesn't toe the line a bit of capitulation on their part, they're going to say his weakness. So we need to go further. Meanwhile, on our side, and I know you deal with this, Andrew, how many times do you have people on our own side saying, well, you can't criticize Trump, you can't criticize the Republicans because we all need to coalesce? I agree in the importance of coalescing, but we have a unique opportunity to tell the people we elect, this is why you should carry out the promises that you claimed when you ran. So it's effective for the Democrats. They do it all the time.
Yeah, totally agree. There's another story here about a dog casting its ballot. It's pretty interesting. This coming in from Shiloh Marks, California resident Laura Yorix self-reported that she had registered her dog to vote and had in fact cast a mail-in ballot on behalf of her dog. She did this to expose the corrupt election system, and she was brilliant for this. Her dog voted Republican, by the way. Of course, well, he's a smart dog. Here's your evidence. Elections are not secure, and voter fraud is real. Now, I can't wait to hear the cope on this, but so how about that ID now, Ian?
Oh, I love voter ID.
How about that ID now?
I think people should have like a license or a, whatever. You're just an ID, passport. I don't like digital. I tend to want to avoid digital databases because it's so easy to scrape. But
I
for sure.
I actually trust Twitter polls more than the elections. Like, I'm not even joking on that. Like, I've been to these recounts. Remember when Trump did the recounts in Milwaukee and stuff? And I sat there and I watched the people going through and doing the votes and counting the votes. It's a nightmare. Like, I talked to the staff. The staff was like, oh, we had no training. These are people that are literally
Welcome back. What you up to, man?
the day laborers. They were hired for that day only. They come in there like, we have no training, we have no idea what we're doing. They sit them down in these booths where you can like watch them doing what they're doing. Like, so it was a joke.
Now here's the twist. Costa Mesa woman charged with 5 felonies for illegally registering her dog to vote, casting mail.
Hell yeah, man. Cheers. I hope that my throat is better by tomorrow because I really want to stab too.
And ballots sent to dog into elections. Costa Mesa woman has been charged with 5 felonies for illegally registering her dog to vote. In the 2021 California gubernatorial recall election and the 2022 primary election, the dog's vote was successfully counted in 2021, but was rejected in the 2022 primary. Laura Lee Urich, 62, of Costa Mesa, has been charged with 1 felony count of perjury, 1 felony count of procuring or offering a false or forged document.
Yeah, tuxedo cats be pretty. You like that? That's nice though. Sounds chill.
To be filed, 2 felony counts of casting a ballot when not entitled to vote, and 1 felony count of registering a non-existent person to vote. Urich is scheduled to be arraigned at the Stephen K. Tamura West Justice Center in Westminster, September 9th of 2025 in Department. Okay, gotcha. So walk me through this, Rob. The dogs can vote, but isn't this the system working?
This is Jim Crow 2.0.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Tell Chuck. Now we're taking away dogs' rights to vote? Absolutely outrageous, you know? Yeah, I mean, of course they'll throw the book at this lady. You know, what was the woman, I forget what state it was, but they threw the book at her for like trying to get the proof of the ballots. They're like, I can't do that. The left is intentionally making elections inauditable. And there's only one reason to do that, because you want the cheating. That's why they don't want the ID. That's why whoopsie, we lost the ballots. Whoops, we lost the video. Remember how they were supposed to, like, in all these states legally, when they...
My cat hardly ever bothers me like that. I don't know, she's just kind of a different... She sleeps so damn much. But yeah, it's nice. I like cats that are like that are all needy.
Started to do the mail-in ballots. You had these drop boxes. You legally had to have like cameras watching. Whoops! All the camera footage, so much of it disappeared. You know, here, okay, they caught one lady, right?
I'm not telling this in my parents and my family don't. While I'm in, my mom, she like kilos. I'm always getting the best care back at home, thanks to a World Drop incident. So when my mom shows me pictures of when I was a kid and asks me if I want food, I'm getting sent picture of this of my 1-year-old cat. Look, he looks like he has a new BFF.
ripping apart.
Yeah, I want to see what
How
happens.
dare you? You are racist, sir. Don't you know black people cannot get IDs?
That's true.
In order for them to vote.
Is that the dog?
Is it? No, I doubt it.
A brown? Oh, now we're keeping browns?
Hazel voting?
Come on now.
Oh, the Democrats. I mean, that's the craziest explanation ever. It's like, oh, black people
I bet if it was a
can't
pit
get
bull,
IDs.
it could vote.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
guys, we're going to. It's time to go through super chats and rumble rants. First, smash the like button. Subscribe to the page. Join us at timcast.com to join the Discord. Let's get to it. So for $50, this comes in from Super Pooper. Says U.S. Marine vet. I'm ready to do TOS violations to our commies, but I know it doesn't help with optics. So what can I do? Only traitors help invaders. I tend to agree with you that only traitors help invaders, but let's not. This is the TOS.
Oh,
violations.
yeah. Well, no, that
It's gonna
we
get
can't
slurs.
do that. No, but you can legally go in with the boot. And when we say the boot, we're not saying offing people. We're talking about the boot to go in and legally get these people off the streets and make sure that they're not destroying businesses and houses.
In the 50s, during the McCarthy era, where it was like getting rid of communists, basically, were they violent? Were there communists attacking people on the streets? Did the government go in and crack down and drag people off? I don't remember ever hearing about that stuff. I just know that communist scare was handled in the 50s.
Yeah, well, it turns out that McCarthy was largely right. As far as the idea, I'm not a good reader of that era, so I'm not sure if there were people rioting. And certainly with the Weather Underground and stuff we saw in the 70s was absolutely...
Vietnam,
Yeah,
with the
absolutely-
bombings.
Let's try to power through some leash. This one comes in from DSafe29, so shout out to Rob's video on Brian Shapiro. 16-minute
18 and a half.
Yeah, 18 and a half minute rant.
Did you guys debate?
Pure lunacy.
Well, he
So
told
if
me
you
on
want
my
to call it a
show,
debate,
and he ranted for 18 and a half minutes about how he's respected, how great he is, and I'm just a nobody.
he's also friends with Jack Prosobit,
Yes.
apparently, and all the big famous
Michael Knowles,
Republicans.
they all love him.
Michael Knowles loves him. He's a big deal. Just all you
He's
got to
got a
do is
radio
ask
show.
him.
I don't know if you knew that.
Is it syndicated?
I've heard it's
I've
syndicated.
heard it's syndicated too.
Reno 911?
Yeah,
He also asked to see my penis.
he did.
So,
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah, XD Law says, "Hey Andrew, just showing some love from your hometown. Keep up the good work, and just know we are all not lost out here." Yes,
I wonder why
we're-
that dude came in
awesome.
talking shit.
This one comes in from Forced Name Change.
Yeah, it's every day, bro. People are just so angry. Why is this ginger that I don't like going live? Let's talk shit. Just fucking a lot of people hate their lives and want to take it out on me. It's typical internet shit. It's every day on every platform, man.
Smart cast tonight. Absolutely right. Law needs to crack the whip before something serious occurs, making the left's claim of fascism seem plausible. Act, don't react, or the right keeps losing. I actually agree with this chat.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't either, actually. But we're the new niggas, gingers. We're the new minority, pretty much, in a lot of ways. In fact, they should classify ginger as a hate speech word. And I don't even identify as a ginger, so that's the funny thing. I'm a strawberry blonde as far as I know.
I think
That's
he's.
great. Ian, I
Hasn't
know.
convinced
That's why
me.
we have you on the show.
I don't want to fall into their trap.
We like to have someone that's wrong on the show so we can say, okay.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's why.
So I'm not your buddy guy. Says seeing how far gone
I'm not your buddy
France and
guy.
Britain are, along with everything the left has done across the West. Do you think Western civilization still has a chance, Rob?
Yeah, of course. Don't get black pill, right? The truth is, like to the previous chatter that mentioned like TOS stuff, here's the truth. Morally, but more importantly, strategically, those sorts of things won't help. It's an information war at this point. And the truth is, as bleak as it sometimes seems, normies will wake up if you show them a path forward, right? And so it's just a matter of, it's hard work. We got here because of 60 years of globalists indoctrinating our children, etc. But it's certainly no reason to black pill. Go to church. You know, start advocating, run for local office, win the narrative, inform yourself. But yeah, I don't think it's too late at all. In fact, if anything, I think the United States is a beacon and more important than ever.
Standing O.
Gotcha. This one comes in from just Kuzenfree. Just Kuzenfree? I don't know. Because Trump believes that there's always a deal to be made. He doesn't understand there is no deal to be made with radicals and insurgents. This constant inaction by Republicans is the death of their party.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And again, I'm sympathetic to the people that are like, Trump needs to do more. I am. And I certainly criticize. But my goodness, what are the Republicans? What are they doing in the House and Senate? You'd be forgiven for not thinking they didn't have control. And here's the dirty secret. The reason they don't want to end the filibuster is because if they did, then the American people would see, actually, we're not on board with Trump's agenda. Right now, they can hide behind it. Well, we need 60 votes. So what can we do? They don't want voter ID. They don't want to enshrine Trump's executive orders to secure the border. They want it to go back to the way it was. So,
Well, like I said, arrests are good. The arrests are good. We give them credit where credit's due. But, get to the core. We want to see the deportations. Live stream.
This one comes in from Skyline 99. Thanks, smart. Go after home renters, sellers, businesses, anyone hiring illegals. Put them in prison for aiding and abetting illegals. The invaders will walk themselves back home. Now, this has been something which has long been proposed, but nobody has done. It is, you're supposed to be going after the employers now, but it's not enforced at all. If
You too, man. Have a good night. Thanks for joining.
we had a few kind of high-level prosecutions of this, made a couple of examples, Rob, do you think that would solve the issue?
I think it would go a long way. And I think the chatter's absolutely correct. That's if you stop the incentive, then you have a long way. Now, it's not going to totally solve it, because if you had to be poor and destitute in the United States or Guatemala, what would you pick? Right? But a lot.
Lysol knows when the whole house is sick, the laundry is adding Lysol.
Just uploading some reels right now. For the hell of it. Jesus Christ, these commercials.
The low-level people are important to go after, but you have to go after the people higher up the food chain that are making it likely.
This one comes in from N1 Risen, who says, Andrew did amazing today. Yes, I did. I hope Ian truly reads and studies the scriptures. Please watch Dr. Gene Kim. He talks about the graphene technology used in the upcoming beast system. Hardest thing to do is submit and acknowledge the word of God. It is future-proof. You're not a Christian, Ian?
Well, I try to live like Christ would have, I think, but I don't adhere to like earth books and religions that way.
No.
They're interesting, but I
I
never.
try to live like.
People like believe this thing that happened in the past. I'm like, I need evidence.
I'm going to work on you, Ian. With some good old-fashioned evidence, I'm going to work on you.
And then we'll develop
Just
virtue
book.
together.
Modest books.
That's
You know,
right.
like for
That's
you.
right.
You
Come
believe
from
in
deep
your Earth
space.
Daddy?
Alien
Believe in
books.
your Earth Daddy, Ian?
Mhm. Born from the mud, we're all clay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let's get virtuous together, guys.
This one comes
We're
in
all
from
clay.
Rofio, who says, I see Tim was saving the best guest host for last. He means you, Rob.
Thank you.
Andrew, good to see you on here and eviscerating that commie earlier. Happy to do it. These pundits need to start calling the Minnesotans on the street terrorists. Look, start calling, if we're going to say that Antifa are terrorists, start treating them like terrorists.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know how else to say that. Start acting like they are. You can't make the declaration they are and then pretend that they're not.
Correct.
Devin Grimm sends in, he says, why doesn't Cash, and Tom Homan come out to announce a draw-up of Trump's FBI to investigate fraud and all persons involved in obstructing rioting? Great question.
That's a good question.
I mean, they're too busy, I don't know, still looking through those files that Pam Bondi had in her desk, with Epstein, I don't know.
That's kind of funny though, thinking about like 3.5 million files on her.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
killing it. She's killing it. Look, possibly there's behind the scene if I don't want to be totally down on them. I think the truth is that once more, Trump doesn't have the same priorities that maybe a lot of his audience does. I don't think he has the same priorities on deportation. I think that he has a focus on foreign policy. Some people like, some people don't. And I think that, he's always sort of been full of it when he talked about draining the swamp. I mean, Bill Barr, he kept Bill Barr till the end, till the bitter end. Is like lunatics like me were on screaming in 2020, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They I still don't think he gets the stakes. I don't think he gets that they want him in prison until he dies, that they want his children in prison, they want his co-workers in prison, they want his neighbors in prison. That's the stakes that they're playing. They need to make an example of him. And so he needs to be aggressively rooting out fraud, particularly when it comes to government institutions. And look, I've been found that it's been very depressing, the lack of action. Maybe it'll come. We had the raid of Fulton County. Maybe that's first step in the dominoes. We'll see. But I need to start investigating the corruption that's going on at these institutions.
No, I get it, but Donald Trump is still the best president in my lifetime and probably one of the greatest men ever born.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best president of my lifetime. The competition isn't very stiff, I will say that.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, and again, I give him leeway in this. At least he's on paper trying, right?
Yeah.
At least he's saying things.
Yeah.
Who the hell else do we have?
Right.
Mitch McConnell?
That's why I can't get down on him.
You should be down.
Steiger117 says, Andrew, can you explain why you have the moral high ground as a father who abandoned his black son?
Yeah. That's
Justice for Leroy Wilson. Okay, listen. Sometimes you got to go out for a pack of Newports, and when you do, you don't come back. That's why I switched to Marlboro Reds. Okay, look,
Hey,
I don't have the moral higher ground anymore. Leave Leroy Wilson alone. All right, moving on. Moving on. 1,000,000%. I live next to Portland. Fuck 'em, says and the me. What you do is you get riot cops with 3-foot wooden batons and water hoses. Leftists are violent, but ultimately they're pussies.
Yeah, well, and I also saw this spray, and there's like video of this where it's like this orange spray where you can like go in the crowds and you spray it on them, and they're like, they like people can't stand it and they start throwing up and stuff. Why don't we use more of that?
That's what the Chinese are doing in Hong Kong.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, because it's horrifically painful and
But it breaks up
inhumane.
roads.
Well, yeah, so there's explosives, you don't use
Well, now we're talking. Oh,
there's a lot of ways to break up crowds that you don't do.
No, but it doesn't kill them.
No,
I'm just saying it's a non-violent way to like get them out of like doing crazy stuff.
It is violent.
It's
like
how's it
pepper
violent?
spray with dye in it. It's terrible.
It makes them throw up. How's that violent?
Well, it's reminiscent of this. Did you see the LRADs that they sent out there in Minneapolis with like sound weapons?
I didn't actually see them in
Oh no, I
Minneapolis.
haven't seen those.
And you watch the lefties, they're like,
I want one.
that's so cool, man.
I want
Can
one
you
so
believe
bad.
using sound?
I haven't seen those.
Think about it. I was debating a lefty who's telling me it's like that sound. It drives you crazy, like the loud, high-pitched sounds and
No
stuff like that.
shit.
It makes you do that. And it's like, you mean like the whistles that you guys are blowing every day, right? Like that? Oh, you can use sound as
The
a weapon.
lasers,
I'm not them. I'm sorry about that.
How about the lasers in the eyes?
Right.
Bright strobing lights designed to give you headaches and do seizures. They do everything that they can to utilize weapons without utilizing weapons, right?
Do they have the one where it's like they shit their pants? Is
The
that like a
brown-
real
yeah, we
thing?
need the brown note.
The brown note? Is that a real
Lefties
thing?
love it.
No.
That's fair.
They're
They're
like,
ridiculous.
it's a party. We're
Yeah,
larping
they
and
already
shitty
smell
pants.
that way,
Pretty
yeah.
class. Great.
Well, Portland's already so full of homeless people.
yeah, fair.
I hate Mark Zuckerberg says, I'm not sure who this Andrew and Rob fellow are, but they are doing a great job in N1SB. I feel like you gave it away with
Yeah,
the N1SB. You can't give the company motto out when you're trying to like be like, I don't know who they are, but they're awesome.
What's N1SB?
Not one step back. Not one step back. Okay, so also one comes in from Lady, what does that say? Lady Goip Vanity? I don't know.
I like that.
Lady Goip Vanity. I decided to convert to Crustafarianism. What?
Oh, that was that.
Crustafarianism, sorry. Founded on the AI social media site Mottbook.
Yeah, that was that new religion.
Yeah,
the
this
religion.
website Mottbook you only allowed to log in if you had an AI program that
Yeah.
logged in. It was like, so the only people on the site, the social network, were AIs, and they were all interacting. They created their own language. I heard that it was really humans seeding the programming and making it do it.
But they came up with their own religion overnight. Like one of the guys programmed its AI to create a religion, and that's what it came up with, right?
Yes.
It was
Yes.
crazy too. It was like something with like marrying a 7-year-old bride and like all this.
Oh, you mean
I'm
like
sorry. That's a different religion. I'm saying-
Let's not make him too old in that religion. So Briggs 7 says, sorry, I just have to say something about Ian's earlier debate with Andrew. This is for you, Ian. About firearms and them being equalizers. Let's see women pull a 5-pound trigger with one finger. And not only that, but build them.
Ooh, women don't know how to do
All right,
anything.
women, you've been called out. Who's first? Definitely guns are probably built for dudes that love guns. Let's be real. That's what they are, a man's extension of a man in a lot of ways. They even fire off. But I'm with the caller. Let's see it.
I will say Ian did back off on this position he was going to have earlier in the show. He was going to talk.
Arby's $7.99 meat and 3 box. It's more meal for your money.
No. Anyways, fucking tomorrow's Saturday. What should I do tomorrow? This fucking clip's not working. Bro, what the fuck? Why can't I just get... Is this serious? You can't skip the fucking ad? It's wild.
Because Ian moms earlier in the show, he's like, yeah, what's wrong with the monkeys and the Obamas? I don't see a problem. I want to be an animal too.
Still single, by the way.
We got time for super chats on that if anyone wants.
What have I done wrong
to
in life?
respond to those bitches that aren't doing anything in the home
He is
argument.
so internally conflicted on everything. He's like, I can't believe these women won't do any work. There's got to be utility in feminism, though.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Then
I
I
just can't figure. No one can figure you out, Ian.
Yeah.
Can't figure you
Oh
out.
my god.
That's my life. So just to
Friday
be clear,
night, love it.
it's definitely work, but just don't pull it out of proportion, ladies.
Okay, this one comes in from Ryan. He says, anything to distract from the fact large-scale deportations are no longer happening. As promised, we want all the illegals deported. Rob.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, there's been more numbers than people self-deportations, which is actually arguably more important. And that's why it's important. I think Trump makes a strategic mistake where he's like, we're just going after the worst of the worst. No, you should be going after the ones that aren't the worst to send a signal to everyone. None of you are safe. My recommendation, if you're an illegal, I'll look at the camera. If you're an illegal, here's what you do. Any day now, you could be rounded up like that, and your whole life could be turned on its head. So take that $1,000, make plans, and get the hell out of the country. So that'd be the best case scenario. But yeah, we need more deportations, and sadly, we probably won't get those numbers. But still, it's much better than it would have been the alternative. So.
And then me says, that was the most I've ever respected Ian.
I don't want to just say what you want me to say, but thank you. But
Trad Ian Art.
Trad Ian Christian art didn't come in.
That's anti-trad, isn't it?
We got to do more of these,
Those
dude.
bitches
I thought
aren't
Andrew
working.
came in on the debate scene. Let's fucking rip, dude.
Oh my god, do that, that would go viral.
I'm doing more debates.
Stay-at-home moms don't work. That, Oh my god, that's, you guys gotta do
next
it.
week.
You
Yeah,
guys
that's
gotta do it.
Yeah, I gotta get into comedy. That's my next phase.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, stand up.
That's your first bit right there. These bitches aren't working.
Stay at home moms. Am I right?
Yeah, am
So
I right?
I was looking at some memes of Obama being a monkey, and I was like, moms? Like, what are
But
they
I
up to?
do have some advice for you that I got from a stand-up comic about if you do shows only shitting on women, you should. So Josh says, speaking of insane bullshit, check out Oregon's IP28 in the guise of stopping animal cruelty. He says it like that, cruelty. They want to ban hunting, fishing, in small farms. Pull it up, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Master Jamie, yeah.
So this says the Oregon initiative Petition 28, IP 28, is a proposed 2026 ballot measure that would redefine animal cruelty to criminalize common practices like hunting, fishing, certain breeding methods. The purpose, the initiative aims to change Oregon's animal cruelty laws, which opponents argue would impact animal husbandry, training, wildlife management. Opposition, the American Kennel Club, the AKC, and other groups are actively campaigning against the petition, urging voters not to sign it. It's currently in the signature gathering phase for November 2026 ballot. Wild.
Here's why. Doesn't matter how woke people get, right? You can't mess with their dogs. Like even the lefties, they'll be like, yeah, but I like my weird Pomeranian breed.
Yeah, but it would criminalize common practices like hunting, fishing.
Oh yeah, that part they'll be fine.
Good morning,
It's the
sir.
breeding.
No, I don't think, look, the thing, have you ever seen fishermen who can't fish?
Yeah, I know one.
Okay, they go they go insane. Something in their brain breaks. You can't keep a fisherman away from the water for too long, or they just lose their shit. There's no way this is going to happen.
They'll be in the ice protests.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this one comes in from PPX. Man, these names. PPX. Okay, whatever. He says, how much force should a force dock force if a force dock could dock force, Ian?
Probably about 87%, 82 to 87%. But only for a moment, then you pull back, and then you come in hard but slow, you know?
Yeah.
Force dock should force all the dock that a force dock could dock. A force dock could dock force.
Yeah.
That sounds like the answer.
I think that's
sounds about
I
right.
think that's correct.
Yeah.
I agree with 100% of what Rob has said. You're based as fuck, good sir.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I typed that in on my alt on my phone, so nice.
This one comes in from, oh my God, puppies. Oh my God, puppies. The street violence and stormtroopers is just what they want. You have to go after the funding and planning. This is a color revolution op. Yeah, I understand. I think you can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. That's what my opinion on it is. Not sending in federal enforcement has not worked thus far. It's actually been a black eye for the administration due to inaction. One thing that the people ordered this time was an action president. That's what we wanted. He had nothing to lose. It's his only term he's ever going to get again, and we assumed that he was going to use it for good old-fashioned revenge against the evil liberal scumbags, and he hasn't done that yet.
Right. And also the show of force isn't just for, the hardcore. Obviously the hardcores are going to do what they're going to do, but we're seeing middle schoolers out there now, like literal middle schoolers and high schoolers. Like, it's gotten so crazy that we've allowed this, that literally anyone thinks they can get into it. So it's like, once you start pushing back the normies, the hardcore people are still going to be hardcore, whatever. Go after their funding, I get it, but
Well, look, the George Floyd. How long did that name resonate? Now we got Alex Freddie and Renee Good. Look at the propaganda push. Everyone, in Hollywood, they're all pushing the same thing, and I just don't know if it's resonating with the normies. I think they're over it.
I agree.
I think most people are like, we are tired of the riots. We're tired of it in 2020. We got locked down while they were allowed to go out with impunity, and we're not putting up with it again. So if there was a push to be more aggressive, with a restrained hand, I guess, Ian, and then also push out this PR, I think that it's actually a positive move for Trump, and go after the funders and stuff. So
yeah.
Force name change says, y'all want crowd dispersal? Send in a drone with a single drop of thiacetone. What is it? Thioacetone, I think is how that's, I'm not sure. Thiacetone on a cloth. 1000% effective. Don't believe me? Google it. And we did. Thiacetone is an intensely foul-smelling organosulfur compound notorious for its overpowering putrid odor described as a mix of rotten eggs, garlic, and skunk. But
This is great.
But they already smell like that.
that's your average intake.
Yeah, they already smell like that. It can be detected at extreme dilutions. It is an unstable orange-brown liquid at room temperature that rapidly. Oh boy, yeah, this is above my head, but it's like a very sophisticated stink bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the worst. It says it's considered one of the worst smelling substances known.
Man.
Right.
Just spray them with
Maybe you should
just
drop
smells
soap.
like corpses.
Yeah.
Just drop soap.
And job applications.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
This one comes in from Lady Goip's Vanity, who says, shout out to Crust Priest and Memo The was
You're made of metal, gently cleans, and it smells divine.
It's native.
Starting to get cold in this bitch.
he's like the permanent third chair who also is the co-host. It's a weird dynamic, but he fills in for me all the time. So
We are going to start doing some of these TikToks.
Yes, the TikTok
which is,
sieges.
we're taking over TikTok, and we will open up a space for all the lefties that want to debate us. But yeah, we do our own things basically.
usually they just come on and tell me how handsome I am. I'm
Oh,
not kidding.
sure.
I'm actually not kidding.
It's true.
You think I'm lying, but I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. They come on, I'm like, aren't I handsome? They're like, you're so handsome. I'm telling you.
It's
they
true.
do.
Well, they're all gays.
It's pretty realistic.
so-
They're, okay, I'm talking about the women.
Okay, even the women are gay
It was
men, all
not-
right?
None
Well,
of the
okay,
women-
that's true.
none of the women
None of
said
the,
it's just
not a
a
single,
couple.
not a single woman, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
To go alongside my previous super chat, on a happier note, my wife brought our first child into the world.
Hey.
Over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
Well done.
I haven't had a chance to tell you all, he's the most perfect baby. I feel like everybody says that it's always an ugly baby. I'm just saying. Every single time. So,
15 years, your child is going to be beautiful.
yeah, exactly. It's always a baby. Yeah, good job. Congratulations. We need more kids in the world. The blacksmith says, hey guys, my friend's house burned and she lost everything. Y'all could shout out her GoFundMe. It'd be huge help. Did I shout out the GoFundMe?
Yeah.
Okay. Help our friends rebuild after the fire by Isla Tweedy. Thanks, guys.
Is it a GoFundMe?
Yeah, I'm always very cautious about it. I don't do them because there's so many scammers who are just always leering at me from the GoFundMe sideline.
Well, not just that, GoFundMe will just take it down once they find out you're political. You know what I mean?
Shut it out in Timcast.
Take
That
that
Street
down.
Kid says they've got kids protesting in the streets, 5-year-old children. It's disgusting that people do this. By the way, absolutely love you guys. Keep up the wonderful work you do.
Literally, yeah. There's middle schoolers out there, literally.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that on the show. Yeah.
Like, you start throwing them in jail for a couple of days, you know what I mean?
They were training preschoolers. I saw that
That's
they had
crazy.
them repeating mantras. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, while we were focused on winning elections, they were focused on taking over academia.
That's right.
For years.
Yep.
So.
That's right.
This one comes in from It's Street Kid, who says, I just joined the Army and go to basic in March. Wish me luck. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck, man. Good luck. Another one comes in here from Stephen Mage, who says, Bob's a great fellow if you like watching lips get smashed rhetorically.
Thank you. I do like watching that.
I also like watching that.
I don't like watching lips get smashed.
Dude, Rob, help me prepare for my
Yeah,
debate with
wait a
Destiny.
second. Wait a minute.
They got you guys.
Yeah.
That's a clippable moment.
True. This is bigger than Jim Crow. It's Jim Beagle. P.S. Did Ian microdose Andrew before the show? Says Dustin Laska. No. So I have a different approach than Tim Pool does. If I'm in a host position and I have a guest, I want to give as much time to the guest as possible. That's just my style. It's a different stylistic. If I'm in the guest spot, it's my job to give commentary. I give commentary. If it's my job to debate, I debate. In the host spot, though, the reason I invited Rob out is to showcase him, not to showcase me. I got a chance to do that this morning when I was wrecking communists. So,
But we did make eye contact, which could have gotten you high.
Right.
it's possible. It's possible. DeWinde says, hear me out. Commute the sentence of any of the 158 arrested who can correctly link their protest to any politicians given 10K on top if they can pin Waltz to it. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, this is something you saw with the. Remember, there was investigations, Crossfire Hurricane, in the mid-year exam into Trump and Hillary at the same time. With Trump, this is the plan. All the lefties get the low-level people, get them to flip. With Hillary, it was let's give everyone immunity. So yeah, absolutely, it's effective. Throw the book at these people and say, hey, unless you got some names, where did you get the organization? You know, who sent you materials, and try to get fish.
What the fuck is going on outside? Sounds like someone's on a fucking loudspeaker.
I'm fine with that. I think that's a great idea.
This one says, from Upsetty Spaghetti, yep, Crucible's alive and well. Yes, the Crucible's alive and well and thriving. I always love Upsetty Spaghetti. One of my daughters, she would always say that to me. And so I started using it in debates all the time with leftists. And they're like, man, you're really Upsetty Spaghetti. And it really stuck. Really stuck. One more here. If I was a monkey, I wouldn't want to be compared to black. That's a lot of crime.
This is the winner.
Okay.
I just feel like someone splashed water in my face.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys.
Start your career, start your stand-up career, and be your opening bit.
Posture.
Oh man.
That's fantastic.
Unreal.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the super chats. We had a ton.
Yeah, well, the Crucible tends to also support people who support us. So, with that, we're going to wrap the show up. Before we do, Rob Noor, where can everybody find you?
Normal America with Rob Noor on YouTube, Normal America on Rumble, and all other platforms. Usually streaming most weeknights around Eastern. So.
Ian?
Yeah, you can find me at Ian Crossland on the internet. YouTube, X, and Instagram is where I'm most active. Also, check out Graphene.movie, which is a movie that I've...
Well, there it goes. That's the end of that show. Let me see, did I miss anything else tonight? Went to Epstein's Island, can find video. Life as a deformed French princess. I don't care about fraud. Democrats say
What should the
Contraforce. I guess Shooty Shed in their episode tonight.
What should the consequence be if you enter the country illegally?
I don't know. Fine. I don't care.
He had no compassion. So why would we have compassion for him?
Why would we have compassion for Charlie Kirk? Why are you against ICE?
They're running around like fascists, just doing what they want. Like taking crime. But they're getting rid of violent immigrants, which they just aren't doing.
I want you to tell me the number of that's being committed in fraud that we just so far.
Fraud? I don't care.
What is this? Did you do your thing on here?
I did do my thing on here.
What did you write?
I wrote it really small right here.
F ICE.
Yeah, nice.
Why do you say that?
Because oh my goodness, it's on the spot.
It's okay.
Because they killed that guy. You know, that defenseless man. That's very sad. That's very unfortunate.
I hate that it happened, right? It's a complete tragedy when someone dies, right? Especially in that way. It's brutal to see and no one wants to see. It sucks that it was televised for everyone to see. Kind of like Charlie Kirk was also killed on a college campus, and
I agree. Israel did it. I agree.
No, I'm sorry.
Israel did it.
Okay.
Israel too.
Okay. Don't hold on. I'm talking to her real quick.
Why did he said that could happen if people got guns? Like he knew that was gonna happen, and he was for guns.
Who are you talking about? You said he.
opinion.
What about Charlie?
He said that
Just listening to some typical college retards.
deaths because of guns was okay, right? He had no compassion. So why would we have compassion for him?
Why would we have compassion for Charlie Kirk? Because he was publicly assassinated. Hold on. Because he was publicly assassinated in front of a bunch of college students for just sitting there on a microphone, opening dialogue to people who wanted to talk to him. That's why we should have compassion.
I think we agree on that. I think we're all capable of speaking, and protesters, that's what we're doing. Because families are getting turned apart. Yeah? So that's what we're speaking.
Just like Charlie Kirk's family, who is now suffering because he was taken from them and publicly assassinated. So why did you say, okay, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop him from doing it, he's done doing it. But you said we shouldn't have compassion for him?
I think we should have compassion for violence. And I think that's literally what you're doing. But
Yeah, same here, but their ignorance needs to be exposed, you know. I like that she goes there and shows how stupid they really are.
violence. You're inciting violence.
How so?
That's what you want. Look at that. Look at that.
I'm over here.
Right, but look at that.
I'm over here.
You're inciting it. You're inciting violence. That was what you're doing.
I'm just talking to you. How is this violence?
You're coming here attacking and asking us to have compassion about Charlie Kirk when this is not about Charlie Kirk. This is about the immigrants
Lion King
that
video
they're
Trump
killing
posted.
here.
Yeah, to be fair, you
I'll have to watch the whole thing. I only saw like the clip. I saw the short clip where there's like the Obama monkeys or whatever, but I never watched the whole Lion King clip. I'll check it out.
started talking about not having compassion for Charlie Kirk. You said that. I didn't even care to dive into that conversation.
Compassion for what's going on?
I do.
Okay.
So I also have compassion when there are women and children being murdered and raped by illegal aliens in this country. When we sit here and we talk about F ICE, abolish ICE, I think it's very dangerous rhetoric to sit here and advocate for that when they get people off the streets like this. All of these people right here, rapists and pedophiles.
What about Liam? Was he a pedophile?
Who?
That 5-year-old was a pedophile?
No, I did not say that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
why are we not speaking about him then?
Yeah, if you want to speak about it, you can, but I'm talking about the people who were killed and raped
It
and
was the
committed
Taylor
against
video.
acts of violence by these illegal
Here to
aliens.
talk about that. This is a protest with ICE.
Yeah, I gotta watch the whole thing. I heard Biden's in the video as a monkey too. The 5-year-old was abandoned by his father. Oh yeah, that kid. They tried to fucking capitalize on that, but backfired on him.
No,
Bro, the left is so lost right now. It's insane. So insane.
Not the people that were murdered. We're here to be conscious about ICE and the families that are being torn apart. That's what
do you think there's any area in this conversation for the victims of illegal?
I get into a bunch of arguing. Earlier this morning, some guy was like spamming my Instagram page. He was like, "You're a pedo supporter," and then he's spamming like pictures of him, Epstein with fucking Trump. Like, people are so insane. They're like, "You're supporting him." It's like, bitch, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
immigrants.
Of course, but this is not the conversation that we're having right now.
That 5-year-old boy was abandoned by his father.
That 5-year-old was taken apart by an ICE agent in the fucking cold. He was left abandoned
The cold?
without his family. 5 years old.
Where did his family go?
Didn't you say you were against that?
Where did his family
Why are
go?
you all of a sudden defending that?
Where did his family go?
To a detention center.
When
they
you saw
fucking
that
ran away.
picture of him standing there, the little 5-year-old boy, he got into the custody of ICE because his father abandoned him and his mother and the rest of his family would not open the door to take him.
That's tearing apart families. Do you think that's okay?
What?
Are you?
Is she not?
Are you
Is she hearing
open to
him? Is she listening?
open to the idea that you might be wrong about what happened?
I'm not wrong about fighting with them. I'm very conscious. That's why I'm here.
Why do you say guys?
Because you're taking all the families away that, like, if it was your family that was in your position, then you would be in the same, like, rooting for the same team.
Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty traumatizing to have someone in your family.
Parents taken away from here, so.
I'm sorry?
Were your parents taken away from here? Like,
Yeah, of course they were.
You were born here, right?
I was born here.
Of
course my parents were taken
What if my
away.
parents came over and I was born here and you just illegally took my parents?
Yeah. Your parents came over illegally?
I was born here though. I was illegal.
Okay, were your parents illegal?
No, but I have friends who have lost their parents, and I know you would be like really sad if you lost your parents.
But the thing is, we have to maintain our immigration laws, right?
Yes, but you could like get funding for efforts to that instead of taking away people that are already here, that have already started a foundation in this country.
Yeah.
This country is already illegal. You did not obtain it legally.
We didn't obtain the country legally?
Like the United States, yes.
Stupid.
Sorry?
The United States.
Was not obtained legally?
Yes.
It was
How so?
stolen. It was stolen.
We're doing a segment on their protest as a bystander. What do you think?
Guys, I don't like them. They kidnap people.
Who are they kidnapping?
Immigrants.
Yeah. Kidnapping grown adults somehow.
Brown people. Anybody they don't like. And shooting them.
Oh yeah, someone said that to me this morning too. He's like, they're rounding up anyone who's brown.
In the face too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. So what you've seen online is that you've come to the conclusion that they're literally kidnapping people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
do kidnappers usually take people and then send them back home?
They're not going home. They're going to places they've never been to sometimes.
Some of them are if their home country won't take them. But just to answer my question, do kidnappers usually take people home?
Well, they're not taking them home, so yeah, they're kidnapping them, and they're not getting any due process either, so it's kidnapping.
What is the due process that they aren't getting?
They're not seeing courtrooms, they're not seeing lawyers, they're being prevented from seeing them.
How do you know
I think
that?
that's wrong. There's a lot of reporting online. There's videos, there's a lot of evidence. So, I mean, I see people shooting other people in the face and putting people in the vans, and I don't think it's right, so.
Okay. What should the consequence be if you enter the country illegally?
I don't know, a fine. I don't care.
You should just be fined.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it should be a week-long, month-long process, not a years-long process.
Okay, so we should have all the resources available that if someone comes in the country illegally, we make them an American citizen in 1 week?
Yeah, I mean...
I kind of agree with speeding up the process, you know? I think we should definitely do that.
I think it should be as simple as, hey, are you a criminal? No? Come on in. I mean, there are Americans that are criminals, and...
So when they come from countries that are specifically like third world countries, or countries that have vastly different laws than us, so some countries think that child marriage is okay, raping your wife is okay, they think that being a terrorist is actually part of their religion. When those people are coming in, when their government allows those things, how can we vet them to know they aren't here to hurt people?
I mean,
In a week, and especially in a week. How do we do that in a week?
People come in for all sorts of reasons. I'm not here to say who's coming in for what reason, but there's people that are coming from third world countries, are fleeing from all sorts of persecution. And even if they aren't, who am I to say? As soon as we start judging people,
Who am I to say?
Like,
what an
why they
idiot.
may or may not be coming here, I don't feel like that's our play.
Yeah, who are you to say? You're just a fucking idiot. Exactly. Who are you to say, bro?
We should definitely judge people based on why they're coming to the United States. If they're coming
Yeah, Caitlin's pretty cool.
to commit fraud and in a brazen scheme and taking billions of tax dollars from us, we can judge that. Who's not doing that?
Immigrants aren't taking billions.
Yeah, Somalian immigrants are doing it
Yeah,
in
I don't
Minneapolis.
think so.
So you think that's false?
Yeah.
I think your makeup is super cool. I really like it. Would you like say you're kind of like goth and what alternative? Okay, very cool. Why are you against ICE?
Because they're running around like fascists, just doing what they want.
Fascists.
They're breaking crimes. But they're getting rid of violent immigrants, which they just aren't doing.
They aren't doing that?
Some are getting rid of violent immigrants.
I have some of the violent immigrants that they've gotten rid of. And these are just a few, actually.
But the overwhelming majority aren't. Most of them are just hardworking, not citizens, hardworking people and just.
I thought that was a girl till I heard the voice. This dude's in full costume.
Country benefiting the economy and.
Yeah, benefiting the economy. How are they benefiting the economy?
They're working, they're buying things, they're supporting businesses.
Yeah.
Moving around money.
Yeah, but how much money? How much money does an illegal immigrant? How much money do they contribute that community annually?
Maybe I should have. I don't know numbers.
You don't know numbers?
I just know my parents are immigrants and they came to this country and I've helped stimulate the economy.
It's about $38 billion that they contribute to the economy. Do you know how much they cost the taxpayer?
No.
Oh my
It's about 150 billion, up to upwards of 300 billion annually.
How are they costing all of this? How are they doing that?
Yeah, so healthcare, specifically hospitals, education, when they're in schools, taxpayers are paying for their education. Housing is a big one. And then when they don't pay taxes, they don't. I'm
Are
sorry.
you saying that the government is paying for the housing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's happening in California and New York. This has been uncovered by Savannah Hernandez. She's an investigative journalist. Everybody should go check out her work. But absolutely, yes, that is happening. They're putting them in hotels. They aren't deporting them. They are giving them health care, especially in California. They cost the taxpayer $150 to $300 billion a year.
You mentioned it was California and New York. These are.
I'm talking about specifically.
Yeah, these are more democratic than left-leaning states. I'm assuming it's because they have policies in place to help these people.
What about it is false to you?
I don't have any sort of prejudice against Somali people more than I do any other people. I have to be clear, there are people that do fraud here and are.
And should they be held accountable?
Definitely, absolutely.
But you don't think that the
Not on the
scheme that was.
basis of race or ethnicity or.
So they aren't doing it because they're Somali. They're doing it and they're Somali, and that has become an issue in the Somali community. Billions of dollars, and you just think that's fake.
It's not billions.
How much is it?
It is.
I don't know, and you don't either. So.
Will you tell me? Because it's up to 8 billion. I want you to tell me the number of that's being committed in fraud that we found just so far.
Fraud? I don't care. I think
I don't
there's,
care. I don't care about fraud.
People being kidnapped on the streets and being shot in the face.
Yeah, maybe because of all the fraud going on. But he don't care about that.
And I think that's wrong. That's all I'm here for. I don't judge people on the basis of race or their legal status in this country. I think.
But you judge ICE agents.
Yeah.
You judge people by their jobs.
Yeah. If
your job is a fraudster and you're a Somalian in Minnesota, you put race above their job. But for an ICE agent, you sit there and you want to falsely claim that they are kidnapping people. We both know they're not, but rhetoric like that gets people hurt. You still give me no proof for that. Who were they kidnapping?
What's your proof for $8 billion? I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, Nick Shirley had to testify.
What's your proof? I don't read the news. It was a fucking national news story, but I didn't read it.
In court under oath about the fraud that he has uncovered as an investigative journalist. 40-something people have already been arrested because of that and charged. So this is something you can't deny. Where is your proof that they are kidnapping people?
I mean, look at the videos.
It's kidnapping.
Even if they aren't kidnapping people, they definitely are shooting them. And
even if they are
there's
kidnapping,
hundreds of thousands of families that have been torn apart by this. And it makes me sick to my stomach seeing it happen. So.
Do you
What's your
also?
name, by the way?
My name's Caitlin. What's your name?
Oh, I won't say.
Why not?
Because I know this is gonna be shown online, and I got all sorts of friends. So.
You've got all sorts of friends.
Yeah, and family, and they matter to me, and I don't want my name online if it's gonna be taken out of context or anything.
All right. Have a good day.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. It's so weird. I've watched so many of your videos in the past, and here you are, in person. Yeah.
I am in person.
Yeah.
Doing my thing.
Yeah.
What do you think about What do you think about it?
I am very sad that those young women lost their lives, but the way that I see it, their loss of life as well as Renee Good and others who have been killed with ICE, it's kind of on the same par. I care about people's humanity, people's safety, so I think we're all out here just generally against violence. And
Come on, kitty. Get them.
Would you agree with what they're asking for to abolish ICE?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My question is, what is the solution then? If we were to abolish ICE, who would carry out the deportations and who would do immigration enforcement?
Yeah, of course. So I think the entire idea of like abolishing an institution is that we can rebuild from the bottom, right?
I don't reform?
No. We want to abolish and then maybe a new institution to take place over what ICE does in our society. Because it is important that we protect our people who live here from whether or not they're immigrant criminals or criminals in general. But as an institution, I think we seriously do need to abolish it and then rebuild from the bottom.
Okay.
So.
What is your prescription for rebuilding? What are some things you would like to see if it were to be rebuilt?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really just a college senior. I am not so well endowed in like political science or how to run a government, but I just like to keep the imagination open and seeking for the future and having hope that we can live in a country and not be afraid of dying, whether you're one of these women or whether you're an American citizen that was harmed by the police or ICE.
So here's the thing, when you advocate and you want to see ICE to be abolished, but you really have no prescription about what to do afterwards.
Yeah.
So these women were killed by illegal aliens who were caught and then released back into the interior of the United States. They had no prior history, some of them did, but they were caught and they could have been deported right then and there, but they weren't because ICE was told not to do that under the Joe Biden administration. My thing is, when you want to abolish it and don't let them do their job according to the law, this is what you get. This is what you get. And it's a lot more than, well, we would love to see it abolished and then we'll think about, how to rebuild it. We don't have that privilege. Those women didn't have that privilege to say, oh, we'll see what happens after. They were killed by people who got caught and could have been deported had ICE been allowed to do their job. So I think it's important that when we ask, and how privileged is it for people to stand here and say abolish ICE? That's coming from a place of privilege. Those women do not have that privilege to come out here anymore and even talk to their friends or breathe, anything like that. And so I think it's important what we advocate for because these are the victims of that.
I don't really have more to say. I don't think you're gonna agree. Of course, it was. Thank you for giving me that.
Friends, what do you think about their protests? Are you joining?
It's a great protest. Go, let's go.
I'm an immigrant myself from Cuba. I came here in 2010, and I'm with these people. Immigrants should be welcome here.
Yeah. Do you think immigrants aren't welcome, or do you think it's that the administration wants to go after illegal immigrants?
I think, I'm legal, but I think they're just trying to go after illegal immigrants, that some of them should be taken out, but I think they should do like more research behind who they take out, because some people have been like working here and they've like started their own lives, and you can tell like they should be US citizens and not be getting kicked out.
Why shouldn't they be kicked out if they broke a law?
If they did break the law, then they should, but...
No, I mean, if they came into the country illegally, if they're working illegally. You can't work if you're an illegal citizen. They're not paying taxes because they don't have a social security number because they're working illegally. Should we have consequences for that?
Yeah, we definitely should.
Okay, what should the consequences be?
Start new laws and just try and get everything more together so that we can have a little bit more organization behind all of this.
So the laws already say you can't do that and you'll be deported if you do.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they apply the law and deport the people who are doing that?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Why not? They've broken several of our immigration laws.
I don't know. You got me there on that one, though.
All right, well, you think about that a little bit more, okay? So let me ask you this. If we were to abolish ICE, who would deport the criminals?
I believe there's things in place to take care of that.
Like what?
ICE is one of them. I can't name anything off the top of my head, but at the very least, have ICE be trained people.
Yeah.
And not have it be like this bill that's being
trained
of giving more money to ICE. Just use what they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the military gets so much money.
Yeah, ICE isn't part of the military.
I know.
Yeah. I'm just wondering your solution. What is the solution if we abolish ICE? That's what I'm looking for. What is your solution? How do we remove these people?
I'm not a politician,
Okay.
so I don't have an answer.
Okay.
But I do see the horrible things ICE is doing, and they should not be killing a protester for recording.
Yeah. I don't think they've killed anyone just for recording. I don't think anyone has been shot just because they were recording. And I think it's awful when anyone dies, especially in an altercation with federal law enforcement. Do you support the people that are in these ICE Watch programs that are going out there following federal officers, recording them, and trying to de-arrest people?
De-arrest?
Yeah, that's part of their handbook with ICE Watch is to de-arrest an illegal alien or someone who's being detained. They have a handbook of how to de-arrest somebody. So basically get them away from the officer and let them go free. Would you say that that's probably not a good idea, or you're like, yeah, that's okay?
Well, right now what's going on with ICE, if they're being incredibly violent, that they just don't need to. And sometimes just killing people, I do support that because they're saving lives.
Do you think the protesters who are fighting with law enforcement and de-arresting the people who are being detained, you think that's a good idea because they're saving people?
Fighting law enforcement, I feel like in most cases is not right. But our Constitution does say we need to protect our rights. If they are trying to force their way into your home, search your property without a warrant.
Where is that happening?
Someone mentioned earlier that ICE is now, they could write their own warrants and be allowed to go into your house. They don't need a judge's signature. They could just...
That's an administrative warrant, and that has the ability to go and arrest illegal aliens. You need a judicial warrant to enter private places like someone's home. So that's not happening. They can't write their own warrants to be able to go into your home that has to have a judicial signature. They can write their own warrants to arrest people.
They were saying that like ICE management has been telling them you could write your own warrant.
Who's ICE management? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know exactly. It was just someone said it earlier.
Who said it?
I don't know.
Someone said it here?
Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps they're wrong. Maybe they're wrong.
I really liked how all the students were getting together and protesting for such a good cause. You know, the recent events of ICE, especially in Minnesota, and the actions they've taken. It's just really unconstitutional. I'm glad people are coming together and speaking out about it.
What exactly is unconstitutional?
Well, typically, from what I know, I haven't researched well in depth. From what I know, use of force by police officers and like agents or law agents, I'd say, it's just like the level of force they're allowed to use. Like, maybe I should rehearse this. The level of force they're using, the deadly force they're using, is typically not supposed to be allowed. They're not supposed to be above the law. And police agents or police officers are trained, you know, like with the instance of Renee Good, not to step in front of a vehicle because that's self-caused jeopardy.
So you think he kind of put himself in that position to be?
I believe from the videos that I've seen, the officer did put himself in front of the vehicle, causing harm or causing jeopardy to himself.
Okay.
So regardless of Renee Good's intentions, whether she was legitimately trying to run him over, he did put himself in front of the car, and that does not legitimize his use of deadly force.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. But where does it become? So under the whole like justified use of force, it's not about, you know, hindsight and looking at wheels were turned here and this was their intention. The use of force and deadly force and to protect an officer's life, they need to feel justified in using lethal force if they feel that their life or the lives of their fellow officers are in danger. When someone is being hit with a car, it typically comes back justified for them to use lethal force, especially when that same officer was just, you know, dragged by a car a few months earlier and had to get like 36 stitches in his arm. So he's dealt it and he's done with that. When you say it's unconstitutional though, can you point to anything anywhere in the Constitution where you can say they're breaking this article, they're breaking this, or, you know, what exactly in the Constitution? Is it just the use of force that you're saying, or is all of ICE unconstitutional?
Well, I mean, we've had ICE since like 2001 for
2003.
2003?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think ICE itself is unconstitutional. I think, or maybe unconstitutional is not the right category, but I think, you know, under Trump's current presidency, he's severely restricted the length of training.
Yeah.
He reduced the Spanish proficiency like training from 5 weeks to nothing. Now it's like 47 days now, the training. And just the background checks they're doing for agents, from what I've seen, people have like slipped in without, you know, drug tests or even being, you know, supporters of the current like agenda.
Okay, so you have some problems maybe with how ICE agents are being hired.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any problems with ICE itself and their mission and what the agency is to do? Like, their purpose is to remove illegal aliens from the interior of the United States. Do you ultimately have a problem with that?
I understand the issue is with illegal immigrants who have come to this country, but there's lots of data showing their contribution to economy, and there's a lot of, you know, cherry picking with different events to try to make immigrants look bad, illegal or illegal.
I'm just looking for solutions. I don't think that it's a trend that ICE agents are going out there and shooting protesters. It's not a trend that's happening. I definitely think with Renee Good, that was an awful thing that happened. I wish she was still alive. But at the end of the day, I do think that was a justified shooting in self-defense. Alex Preddy, I think that's a little bit more messy. And I wish that hadn't happened. I wish that he didn't decide to fight law enforcement. I wish that the ICE agents had better communication when disarming him. We don't know exactly what happened yet. But what I do know is that despite these incidents, ICE is still doing a good job, and I support them being there, and I fully support their mission in Minneapolis.
All right, that's pretty much over. What the fuck else is on? God damn it.
What is the definition of fashion?
I've been watching too much politics. I gotta watch something else, man. Gotta watch something else, man. Let me check.
From Fantasy Island, Hervé Villachez.
Wait till you see what.
Tax Act is a gig worker's best friend. You might think their spouse or dog is their best friend, but when's the last time your dog optimized your itemized tax deductions? Tax Act. Let's get them over with.
How do you explain it so that, sorry, do you just keep having about some of it cringe?
It's all correct.
Now, Batman's coming in and literally thinking about what's next. It's a win.
I got so much goddamn phlegm in my throat lately. Ah! It's like it's fucking deep winter time or some shit. My fucking, maybe I got allergies or some shit.
Everyone, please give a warm welcome to the stage, Dr. James Coons.
Right, folks, thank you very much. We're very excited for this debate. We're going to do that vote one more time, but before we do, I do want to introduce our speakers. That way you know what their positions are on this debate topic of whether or not Muhammad existed. So, David will be going first, and David is a former atheist and ex-con who has a PhD in philosophy. They make me say these things, and makes Christian videos. If you give David Wood, Dr. David Wood, a round of applause, please. And then I want you to remember, so David will be arguing that Muhammad did in fact exist, and then arguing against David. We are thrilled to have you here for our first time at a debate con. It's a pleasure to have you. Robert Spencer is the director of Jihad Watch and the author of 29 best-selling books, including The Truth About Muhammad, Did Muhammad Exist, and Muhammad, A Critical Biography. Please give him a warm welcome as well. Now, if you happen to currently lean towards David's position, but you think Muhammad did exist, would you put your hand up for our little vote?
Smart.
What's up, you little devil?
Give it a second. If you're watching at home, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button as we have many more debates coming up.
I like this crowd.
For those of you wondering why we do these votes, Manifold is another sponsor of DebateCon 5. You can vote right now. If you look in the description box, Manifold is the world's largest social prediction market. You can click on that link right now and predict who will be the winner of this debate, which will be determined by these hand polls. That, if you can put your hands down, your hand if you would take or say you lean toward the position that Muhammad did not exist. Very good. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll get started with the actual debate. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're thrilled to have you here. The first opening will be from David Wood. That's 20 minutes. Thank you very much. The floor is all yours, Dr. Wood.
Thank you, James. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank James especially for setting up this conference and this debate and for persevering in the face of various obstacles, setbacks, threats, and so on. I'd also like to thank Robert for agreeing to do this debate on short notice and for showing up even after I sent him a message promising to humiliate him. As you can see, I'm what's called a method debater. I get into character. I went full Dawa here. Don't try that at home. Never go full Dawa. Speaking of Dawa, we should all be thanking Central Dawa, whose threat James, I'm going to need like an extra 3 minutes on my time for the laughter I didn't anticipate. We shall be thanking Central for his threats against AP, which led AP to set up a GoFundMe for a security system. People sent AP more than $100,000. Far more than he requested. AP can afford his own personal Iron Dome system right now. I guess I can thank Central Dawa directly because we know he's watching from whatever basement he's hiding in. Let me say, Central Dawa, wherever you're watching from, as you're begging your half a dozen fans for nickels on TikTok, just imagine AP swimming through a sea of money like Scrooge McDuck. All thanks to you, Central Dawa. You suck at debate, but we finally found something you're good at, namely raising money for ex-Muslims who make fun of your prophet constantly. Now, there's one other person I'd like to thank. As we all know by now, James couldn't find a Muslim anywhere on the planet who was willing to come here and defend Muhammad. Sheikh Uthman was invited to debate. He wouldn't do it. Muhammad Hijab said he wouldn't do it for $80,000. Wouldn't defend Muhammad. That's what I call fear. There are 0 Dawa guys apparently left on the planet who are willing to defend Muhammad in a debate. And Isa, where's Isa? You don't count, Isa. You're too nice to be a Dawa clown. If you all don't know Isa, he's part Muslim, part Jewish, and acts like a Christian. So, in fact, hang on, I got something here. I brought Isa something actually.
Oh Lordy.
This is also not coming out of my time, James. In honor of Isa being such a nice guy all the time, I prepared him something that brought together all of his religious influences. I made a Star of David, Christmas tree topper from a page of the Quran. Come get your stuff. Come grab it, Isa. That's hard work, by the way. That's hard work. You're darn right he took it, and it's why he's cool, that's why. This is what I do. I build bridges with the sacred art of Quranigami. Now, back to the final person I'd like to thank. I'm apparently the only person on the entire planet right now who's willing to stand up for Muhammad against the Islamophobic attacks of people like Robert Spencer. So, on behalf of the world's 2 billion Muslims, I would like to thank myself for being the only person who's willing to stand up for your prophet. My goodness, we're starting 2025 with David Wood as the only remaining defender of Muhammad on the planet. This is gonna be a great year for Dawa, ladies and gentlemen. And for all you Dawa fans out there who are watching, keep in mind, this was supposed to be a debate between me and Alex O'Connor. Alex was going to be blasting away at the deity of Christ. Now it's going to be defending the deity of Christ. And because of the threats, Alex got scared, did not want to debate. And so this is what you're left with. Because even then, James wanted to replace debate with like a Muslim debate or something. Couldn't find anything. So I'm pointing this out because Muslims of the world, if you don't like the way I defend your prophet tonight, that's on you. That's on you. You guys did this. There are these little pesky things called consequences, and may this entire debate be a lesson in consequences. All right, enough of this rapport building chit chat. Our topic is, did Muhammad exist? I believe Muhammad did exist. I'm what you might call a Muhammad realist, as are most of you in here apparently. I believe there was a man called Muhammad who claimed to be a prophet and who started a religion called Islam. Robert, by contrast, doesn't believe Muhammad existed. Robert is what you would call a Muhammad myther or Muhammad mythicist. I'll let Robert explain his own position. But Muhammad mythers often believe that some later Arab ruler invented Muhammad in order to start a new religion. I call this view Moabt.
What are you doing?
Which stands for the mother of all conspiracy theories. Every other conspiracy you've ever heard of is a joke compared to MOACT. Why do I say this? Well, think about what it would take to pull this off. Some Arab ruler decides to start a religion.
Stop it.
So he comes up with a character, Muhammad. Then he needs a bunch of people to make up all kinds of stories about Muhammad. And not just about Muhammad, there's the entire supporting cast, all Muhammad's wives, his cousins, his aunts and uncles, and so on. The entire Muslim community of the time. They have to come up with all of this stuff. And they go into lots of detail and genealogies and so on. I have shelves of Muslim sources about Muhammad and the people around him. These sources are all made up, apparently, according to Muhammad mythicists. So people had to make up all these stories. And the people who were making up these stories, at least at the beginning, had to know what they were doing. They were all part of the conspiracy. But they didn't just make up thousands and thousands of stories. They had to convince the population to believe these stories. They had to tell the population that this was their religion all along. Now imagine someone trying to do this to, for instance, even if you had the power, even if you had massive political power. Imagine someone coming in and saying, hey, isn't it great that we all serve our great religion with our hero, Bob the Prophet? And you go, well, who? What? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, you know, Bob the Prophet, the one we've all been serving and who gave us the revelations that we've all been following for a long time. If someone actually could pull that off, these guys were absolute masters of mass manipulation. So these would be geniuses. Keep that in mind as we proceed, because if they start sounding like insane idiots and simultaneously must have been the greatest geniuses of all time, we're going to have a problem. According to the theory, they somehow pulled this off. They somehow pulled off this great conspiracy. So some ruler conspired with some amazing storytellers and convinced an entire population that they'd all been following Muhammad for a long time, and the entire population climbed on board the Muhammad train. This was, hands down, the most successful conspiracy of all time. Keep that in mind. But I don't believe in MOACT, the mother of all conspiracy theories. Why don't I believe it? Easy. I don't believe it's the best explanation for the evidence that we have. There's a lot of evidence that just doesn't fit this theory very well. So let me explain what I mean. It makes perfect sense for someone to invent a religion. That sort of thing happens all the time. It makes perfect sense for someone to make up a prophet or a religious figure to be the centerpiece of their religion. That sort of thing happens. But if you're inventing a religion and inventing the last and greatest prophet of your religion, there are certain kinds of things that you're going to make up, depending on what your goals are. What are your goals? And then you make up stories to go along with those goals. If you want people to believe this prophet is from God, you might make up miracle stories or stories of angels coming and helping out and so on. If you want your religion to be a force that unites you while you conquer the world, you make up, plans to violently subjugate the world and to take captives and so on. So it's easy to understand why someone would make those kinds of things up.
WTU's online healthcare programs are built for busy lives. Start first of any month and get 24/7 access to online coursework so you can balance life and school. Learn more at WTU.edu.
Okay, I have a secret. Potbelly will make literally any sandwich I order into a wrap. They do it just for me.
But if you're inventing a new religion and you're inventing the last and greatest prophet for your new religion, you're not going to invent stories that make your hero look stupid or insane or unreliable or evil or cowardly or possessed. In other words, you'll invent things that help your case for your new prophet. You're not going to invent things that hurt your case for your new prophet. This means that if we open up the Muslim sources and we find lots of stories that make Muhammad look stupid and insane and unreliable and evil and cowardly and possessed, the best explanation for why we have all these stories is that, like it or not, these things really happen. And if these things really happened, then Muhammad obviously existed. Here in my opening statement, I'm just going to give 6 examples of what I'm talking about. After that, Robert will have an opportunity to agree with me and surrender. But if he doesn't agree with me, if he continues pushing the mother of all conspiracy theories, I have plenty of additional examples I can share in the rebuttals. So if I have to keep sharing embarrassing material about Muhammad, don't blame me, blame Robert Spencer. I said this debate was going to be a lesson about consequences. So let's go through 6 simple examples. First, we know from Muslim sources that when Muhammad began receiving revelations, his first impression of these revelations was that they were demonic. When Muhammad fled the cave of Hira, he was convinced that the first 5 verses of Surah 96 had been put into his head by some sort of demon or poetry genie. We read in the earliest Islamic biography of Muhammad. Muhammad said, "Now none of God's creatures was more hateful to me than an ecstatic poet or a man possessed. I could not even look at them. I thought, woe is me, poet or possessed. Never shall Quraysh say this of me." Whatever Muhammad encountered in that cave, he was convinced that it was something bad. He ran home to his wife for protection from this demon. I could make a point about how this makes Muhammad look like a total coward. What sort of 40-year-old man runs home to his wife to protect him from a demon? But I'll leave that aside. So Muhammad ran home to his wife, and it was his wife and her cousin who weren't there and who had no idea what he encountered, who persuaded him that he wasn't possessed, he was a prophet of the great God Allah. Now, if you were making up a prophet for your new religion, would you make up a story about him thinking that he was possessed and that he had encountered a demon and that he needed to be talked out of this view by people who weren't there? I wouldn't. Second, we also know that after Muhammad's experience in the cave, he became suicidal and tried to hurl himself off a cliff. We'll continue reading, same passage. He says here in our earliest biography, "I will go to the top of the mountain and throw myself down that I may kill myself and gain rest." Again, it was his wife and her cousin who had to convince him that he wasn't possessed. He was a prophet of Allah. Later, when he concluded that he's a prophet and then stopped receiving revelations, he again became suicidal and tried repeatedly to hurl himself off a cliff, as we read in Sahih al-Bukhari. But after a few days, Waraka died, and the divine inspiration was also paused for a while, and the prophet became so sad, as we have heard, that he intended several times to throw himself from the tops of high mountains. And every time he went up to the top of a mountain in order to throw himself down, Gabriel would appear before him and say, "O Muhammad, you are indeed Allah's messenger in truth," whereupon his heart would become quiet, and he would calm down and would return home. Now, if you're manufacturing any prophet you want to unite some Arab tribes, do you think you portray him as someone who tries to hurl himself off a cliff anytime anything he doesn't like happens? I certainly wouldn't. Third, according to our earliest Muslim sources, Muhammad once delivered a revelation from the devil. Here's what happened. When Muhammad was preaching in Mecca, he didn't win very many converts, but he really wanted his tribe to accept Islam. Then one day he got the revelation he was looking for. Let's read one version of this story in the history of At-Tabari. "The messenger of God was sitting in a large gathering of Quraysh, wishing that day that no revelation would come to him from God, which would cause them to turn away from him. Then God revealed, 'By the star when it sets, your comrade does not err, nor is he deceived.' And the messenger of God recited it until he came to, 'Have you not thought upon Alat and Al-Uzza and Manat, the third, the other?' Alat, Al-Uzza, and Manat were 3 pagan goddesses. When Satan cast tongue, 2 phrases. These are the high-flying cranes. Verily, intercession is to be desired. He uttered them and went on to complete the surah. When he prostrated himself at the end of the surah, the whole company prostrated themselves with him. All the Muslims bowed down in honor of this revelation, promoting prayers to pagan goddesses. This is what Surah 53 originally said. It said that in addition to Allah, there are 3 goddesses that Muslims can pray to, Alat, Al-Uzza, and Manat. They're called the high-flying cranes because they're like bird goddesses who fly your prayers up to Allah for you. Muhammad bowed down in honor of this revelation. His followers bowed down in honor of the revelation with him. But a little later, Muhammad came back and said that these verses, which he had delivered as part of the Quran, weren't really from God, they were from Satan. And he replaced them with the words we find in the Quran today. Muhammad even confessed, got it there on the screen, I have fabricated things against God and have imputed to him words which he has not spoken. Now, if you wanted to invent a prophet, and you wanted to make shirk, associating partners with Allah, the worst possible sin anyone could ever commit, would you portray your new prophet as a man who committed shirk and convince the entire Muslim community of his time to commit shirk with him, and portray him as someone who couldn't tell the difference between a revelation from God and a revelation from Satan? Of course not, no one would. Fourth, we know from multiple references in Bukhari and other sources that Muhammad was a victim of a magic spell that gave him delusional thoughts and false beliefs. Will you read the short version in Sahih Bukhari 3175?
Yeah, it's true, because of the equator or whatever.
Narrated Aisha, once the prophet was bewitched so that he began to imagine that
Well, I mean, I think it's true. I don't know.
he had done a thing which in fact he had not done. In the longer versions of the story, we find out that a magician used Muhammad's hairbrush and the hairs that were in it to cast a spell on him. The spell lasted about a year or so. Eventually, two angels showed Muhammad how to break the spell. Why is this a problem? Well, Surah 2, verse 102 of the Quran says that demons teach magic to human beings. Surah 15, verse 42 says that Satan has no power over true servants of Allah. So if magic is taught by demons and Satan has no power over Allah's true servants, and a magician had power over Muhammad through the magic arts, what can we conclude? That Muhammad isn't a true servant of Allah. So tell me, if you were inventing a prophet to suit your fancy, would you say that his enemies could temporarily overpower him with black magic? Not a chance. Fifth, according to Islam's most trusted sources, Muhammad made prophecies that were already falsified by the time Muhammad mythers say he was being invented. In other words, it gives a prophecy, and maybe later on it turns out to be false. Muhammad gave prophecies that by the time he's supposedly being invented, when they're inventing Muhammad, these prophecies had already turned out to be false, which means if they're inventing them, they invented them as prophecies that already showed that he's a false prophet. So look at two examples. In Sahih Bukhari, Muhammad prophesied that one of the signs of the end times would be that the buttocks of the women who worship the idol Dul Khalasa would shake while walking around the shrine. But the idol and the shrine were soon destroyed by Muslims, so the prophecy can no longer be fulfilled. You can't fulfill this prophecy. Muhammad said that a sign of the end times would be that the women would be shaking their behinds while walking around this pagan shrine. But the pagan shrine was destroyed soon after that, so this can't possibly have anything to do with the end times. So why would someone invent this when by the time they're inventing it, the shrine had already been destroyed? Similarly, Muhammad once pointed to a boy and said that before the boy became an old man, the judgment would come. That boy has been dead a long time, so the prophecy failed. Now, here's the point. If Muhammad was being invented long after his supposed death, why would the conspirators invent a prophecy like this, which had already been falsified, which therefore exposed Muhammad as a false prophet? If they're making up prophecies from Muhammad, wouldn't they make up prophecies that had been fulfilled? Why would they make up prophecies that by the time they were making them up had already turned out not to be correct? Sixth, according to the most common interpretations of Surah 4, verse 157 of the Quran, Allah rescued Jesus from those who wanted to kill him. So obviously, if we're inventing a prophet for Islam, we're going to invent a similarly miraculous story for our new prophet, right? But how did Muhammad die in Muslim sources? He was poisoned by a Jewish woman whose family had been slaughtered by Muslims. A Jewish woman whose family had just been slaughtered at the Battle of Khaybar offered to cook dinner for Muhammad and his companions, and he accepted the generous offer. There are, 8 billion people in the world? Muhammad accepted I don't have 1 minute. I said it doesn't count because of all the interruptions from these very cool people. Can't cut it off. I'm terribly hilarious. So anyway, a Jewish woman offers to cook Muhammad a meal, even though he just slaughtered her entire family. There are about 8 billion people in the world. You could ask all 8 billion people. If you just slaughtered a woman's entire family and she says, hey, I'd love to cook dinner for you, is that a good idea to accept that offer? 8 billion out of 8 billion people will say that is the dumbest idea ever. Do not do that. Muhammad is the one exception in all of history who thought, gee, this is a great plan. The poison ate away at Muhammad's internal organs and he died in horrible agony. So the conspirators who invented Muhammad made him sound like the biggest idiot of all time. And that's not all they invented. Because look at what Muhammad said when he was dying. He then said about the pain of which he died, I continue to feel pain from the morsel which I had eaten at Khaybar. This is the time when it has cut off my aorta. He described that the poison killing him as cutting off his aorta. Cut off my aorta. Why is that a strange detail to invent if you're making up stories about Muhammad? Oh yeah. Because according to the Quran, that's exactly how Muhammad was told he would die if he was a false prophet. Surah 69 verses 44 to 46, Allah declares, and if he, Muhammad, had fabricated against us some of the sayings, we would certainly have seized him by the right hand, then we would certainly have cut off his aorta. If Muhammad were to fabricate revelations, come up with revelations out of his own head and say these are from God, Allah said he would cut off his aorta. How did Muhammad die? He died going, I feel my aorta being cut. If a Middle Eastern ruler was inventing a story about Muhammad, why would he make up a story about Muhammad being outwitted by a Jewish woman, dying like a rat, and being completely exposed as a false prophet? It just doesn't make sense. So putting all of this together, we can see a problem. If the defenders of the mother of all conspiracy theories are correct, the conspirators who created Islam were some of the greatest geniuses who've ever walked the planet. They somehow pulled off the most amazing conspiracy in history. But when we look at the Muslim sources, we learn that the prophet the conspirators invented thought he was possessed by a demon. He repeatedly tried to commit suicide. He delivered revelations from Satan. He was the victim of black magic. He delivered numerous false prophecies, and he died in exactly the way the Quran said he would die if he was a false prophet. If that's the prophet these conspirators came up with, then they were total morons. How can they be some of the greatest geniuses ever and be complete morons? Makes no sense. And that's why the conspiracy theory makes no sense to me. What does make sense, Muhammad existed and he had some serious, serious problems.
Okay, it's just a laxative.
Relax. It's Miralax. It works with the water in your body for gentle relief.
Chevy trucks are as capable and dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. You probably know one. Your sister. Your buddy. The ones who always show up. They all have that little extra something. And maybe you got it too.
Right now, well-qualified buyers can get 1.9% finance.
All right. Thank you, David. We're going to kick it over to Robert Spencer for his 20-minute opening statement. When you start talking, I'll hit the timer.
Thank you very much, David. That was most impressive. The only problem with it is that we know that stories about Muhammad were made up on an industrial scale. After all, Bukhari is said to have traveled around the Islamic world and collected 600,000 stories about Muhammad. And then in Sahih Bukhari, he published 7,000 of them as authentic. What about the other 593,000 stories of Muhammad that he had collected? He determined through various means, reliable or unreliable, that they were fake. He, in other words, understood that there was a large-scale production of falsehoods and fictions about Muhammad that was going on. And that was one of the reasons why he collected his hadith together. in order to try to winnow out the false from the true. And how did he do that? And how did the other collectors of hadith do that? They did that originally simply on the basis of stories that corresponded to Quranic revelation or what was current in the Islamic world at the time. And those two things are not identical, as I'll come back to later. But the fact is that later on, this was determined to be inadequate to the task. And so a further measure of authenticity was developed, which was the isnad chain, the chain of transmitters, that supposedly these stories were passed on from reliable person to reliable person, like a game of telephone, and through the generations were transmitted in absolutely perfect form until they were finally recorded. Now, when were they recorded? The other thing that completely demolishes what David was saying is the fact that every story to which he referred dates not from the 7th century when Muhammad is supposed to have lived, or the 8th century, but the 9th century, fully 200 years after Muhammad is supposed to have lived. Now, in the first place, we all know that if we actually played the game and everybody was completely sincere in here and honest, and we started over there, and you whisper something to the next person who whispers it to the next person, and it goes on right through the isnad chain back to the back, that it would be a different message. And if you don't believe it, I happen to have some examples right here. This is a story from Sahih Muslim, and it is, of course, one of the reliable hadith collections. Muslim, by the way, Muslim ibn al-Hajjaj was from Iran. Bukhari was from Uzbekistan. So, in other words, neither of them were walking around in Arabia collecting these stories. And that in itself is important, but this is another thing. Okay, we got Sahih Muslim. I'm sorry I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm a 20th century speaker. You'll just have to try to listen closely. It's a lost art. Amr ibn Sa'd reported on the authority of his father that Allah's apostle gathered for him on the day of Uhud. Okay, so this is a story about the Battle of Uhud. His parents, when a polytheist had set fire to the Muslims. Thereupon Allah's apostle said to him, Sa'd, shoot an arrow. Sa'd, may my mother and father be taken as ransom for you. I drew an arrow and I shot a featherless arrow at him, aiming at his side. And then he fell down and his private parts were exposed. Allah's messenger laughed that I saw his front teeth. So, the story is that during the Battle of Uhud, one of the polytheists, one of the Meccan pagan Quraysh, they were attacking the Muslims. Muhammad is standing there with Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and he says, shoot an arrow, Sa'd, and kill that guy. And he kills him. The guy falls down and his private parts are exposed. Muhammad thinks that's the funniest thing ever and starts laughing so you can see his teeth. Interesting, this is a total digression, but I have to tell you, the fantasies and fictions and falsehoods that prevail about Muhammad today are so strong that a noted Islamic scholar, Eric Ormsby, referred to this past.
What about Monster Ultra Gold pineapple flavor?
It's saying Muhammad was such a charming guy, and there are stories about him where he laughed so heartily that you could see his back teeth. And he doesn't tell you, Ormsby, that, oh, it's when this guy got shot and his buttocks are exposed. That part he left out. But anyway, that's Muslim's version. Waqidi says, at one point during the Battle of Uhud, one of the Quraysh shot an arrow that struck the hem of Ayman, a Muslim woman who had come at that time to give water to the wounded. As a result, she tripped and was revealed. And the Quraysh attacker starts to laugh, and his laughter was loud. Muhammad, this grieved the Prophet, so he gave Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas an arrow without an arrowhead and said, shoot. The Muslims shot the warrior of the Quraysh, who had exposed and humiliated Ayman, and he fell down, exposing his buttocks. When Muhammad was again delighted. Saad said, I saw the messenger of Allah laugh then until his teeth could be seen. So it's clearly the same story, and yet we have several details that are different. In the first place, the woman doesn't show up in the other version, but Waqidi has this all about a Muslim woman who first tripped and her private parts were revealed. And Muhammad is so angry about this, he tells Saad to shoot the guy. Saad shoots the guy, and then he is revealed. A lot of obsession with the revealing of private parts here. And then Muhammad laughs so his teeth can be seen. From a third source, Ash-Shamil al-Muhammadiyya, says this. Saad ibn Abi Waqqas said, I had seen the Prophet laugh at the Battle of the Trench.
Yeah, interesting stuff, huh? A lot to learn here.
Ooh, wait a minute, I thought it was Uhud. So hard that his molar teeth became apparent. I said, how was his laughter? He said, there was a man holding a shield while Saad was shooting, and the man was saying such and such and such and such, with the shield covering his forehead. He was heaping insults on Muhammad. The source doesn't want to say what he was saying, you know. Saad therefore aimed an arrow at him and shot it when he raised his head, so it did not miss this part of him, meaning his forehead, and the man toppled over and kicked up his foot. The Prophet then laughed so much that his molar teeth became apparent. I said, what made him laugh? He replied, what he did to the man. So, it's Battle of Uhud, Battle of the Trench, we don't know. It's about a woman tripping and falling, or not. This time it's about this guy taunting the Muslims and hiding behind his shield. You can't get me. And then going back behind the shield, and so finally Saad shoots it. So maybe Saad ibn Abi Waqqas was standing with Muhammad 3 separate times, twice during Uhud and once during the Battle of the Trench, and shot people between the eyes 3 different occasions. Or maybe this is a story that is in the process of legendary development, as so many others were, both those that were accepted and those that were rejected. The big problem that the people who say that
before
Muhammad
they were just
is
pagans doing pagan things,
actually somebody who...
They still have a bunch of pagan stuff in their hadiths. Okay. Yahud is what they call me. It is a word for Jew. That's cool, man. Yeah, I don't know all that much about paganism and all that, but this guy talking right now, Robert Spencer, this dude's like one of the smartest people I've ever heard talk about Islam. So this is a really good debate right here.
Whose history has been transmitted authentically. The big problem that they have is that none of the stories are contemporary, and the idea that they would all be transmitted perfectly strains credulity. We know that that doesn't even happen.
Yeah, true. And the rock that they walk around, that's not the location that the rock is in. That's not the original location. The original location is further like north or whatever. So yeah, if you watch there's like it's called Dismantling Islam. It's an actual like 3-part lecture, and if you listen to that, you'll learn a bunch. And it's by this guy Robert Spencer. But this is just a little recent debate.
In our own day, the fact that there are differences between various stories, like some of the ones that David adduced, the fact that Muhammad makes excuses and says he doesn't have miracles in the Quran, and then in the Hadith he's making miracle after miracle after miracle. Or some of the other things, let me see, I made some notes about some of them, that, the aorta story, that the Quran says that a false prophet will be struck in the aorta, and then Muhammad is struck in the aorta. You have to understand that this was not done by one guy. It is true that it all started, we start to hear mention of Muhammad around the time of Abdul Malik, the caliph, from 685 to 705. And it's noteworthy since David said that they had to convince the people that this was their religion all along. We actually have record of that. That around the time of Abdul Malik and Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, Malik ibn Anas, in one of the early Hadith collections, he records a story where this old guy says, reading from the Mushaf, that is a copy of the Quran, at the mosque was not done by people in the past. It was Hajjaj ibn Yusuf who first instituted it. Now think about that for a minute. That Hajjaj ibn Yusuf instituted the reading of the Quran in the mosques, and he's around the 690s and early 700s. And yet the standard story is that Uthman put the Quran together in 653 and distributed the copy that he had made to all the provinces. And then they were quiet about it for 40 years. And nobody even mentioned that they had such a book. And nobody ever quoted it. And then 40 years later, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf starts telling people to read the Quran in the mosques. But in any case, the larger point is that this was not done all by Hajjaj ibn Yusuf or by Abdul Malik. This all doesn't come from nowhere either. We have Muawiyah, the caliph after the rightly guided caliphs. He was the caliph from 661 to 680. And we have him talking to the emperor of the Romans in 651, actually, before he was the caliph, when he was governor of Syria. He wrote to Constans II, the Roman emperor. And he's telling him, follow the religion of Abraham. We follow the religion of Abraham. It seems very clear that the Arabs, once they were unified, whatever may have happened before that, were Abrahamic monotheists who considered themselves to be of the spiritual lineage of Abraham. But they were not exactly Jews, and they were not exactly Christians. They were obviously not Muslims either. They never mentioned, Muawiyah never mentions Muhammad, the Quran, or Islam. Neither do any of his contemporaries. There are coins from his reign that say Muhammad but have a cross on them, which is very weird if you think Muawiyah was the son of Abu Sufyan, who was the Quraysh chieftain who fought against Muhammad for years and then was finally converted to Islam toward the end of Muhammad's life after the conquest of Mecca. And Muawiyah then grew up as a Muslim. And yet he never seemed to hear, they slew him not nor crucified, but it appeared so unto them, as the Quran says in chapter 4, verse 157. He never heard that Jesus is going to come back and break the cross, as Muhammad says in a hadith. Apparently not, because he put crosses on his coins next to the word Muhammad. Now, how do we make sense of that? It is clear that from even before that, and before anybody is talking about Islam, that Muhammad was a title. And it was a title meaning exactly what it means, the praised one, and that title was given to various people over the course of the centuries. And so in the year 518 in Yemen, there was actually a Jewish ruler who defeated a Christian force in southern Arabia there in Yemen. And his name was Yusuf Asar Yathar, also known as Zunuwas, and he defeated Christians coming from Abyssinia to fight and left an inscription there on a rock that says, O Lord of the Jews, by the praised one. That is Rahab ab Muhammad. And so the praised one clearly doesn't refer to Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, in the year 518. It's a title. And it's a title that is given to revered figures, to God himself, apparently, in this inscription, and to others. So that's floating around, and Abrahamic monotheism is floating around. Then, when Abdul Malik and Hajjaj ibn Yusuf decide this is the time to gather together all these traditions and create a religion, then they make use of what is there already. It doesn't just come out of whole cloth. They're not making it up out of nothing. They're using the earlier sources. They did this in order to unify their empire. After the great Arab conquests, the unity of an empire was considered to be its common religion. there were two great powers in the world, the Persian Empire, which was Zoroastrian, and the Byzantine or Roman Empire, which was Christian. And they were not bound together by a constitution or a parliament or ethnic unity or common nationality, anything of the kind. They were both multi-ethnic, multinational empires that were bound together by a common religion. The Arabs started to put together Islam out of these earlier materials in order to create a source of unity for their own empire. But it wasn't done by one person. Once Muhammad began to be referred to as a specific individual, then many people began to create stories that were justifying their positions in various disputes and using Muhammad in order to strengthen that position. And then other people would make up another story that contradicted. This is why the Hadith are so full of contradictory material. And you can find so many where, Muhammad says, don't kill.
I think I'm about to restart my stream. I need to check something real quick. So I'll be back in a minute.